Chapter 1819. Dmo Xian looked at Yiqing Luo and nodded with a smile. Speaking of this, even I'm seeing Lil Luo Er's hometown for the first time. His gaze swept across the busy streets, as well as the shops on both sides of the road that shone with all kinds of strange lights. The people walking back and forth on the sidewalk were dressed in appalling clothes. Even I was shocked. Xiao, Ian Jean Z might not be able to adapt to it either. Dmo Xian said as he took a step closer to Yi Qing Luo, Lil Luo Let's go look for the both of them first. Yi Qing Luo smiled, but I don't want to go look for them with you now. Dmo Xian halted his approaching footsteps. Isn't it faster to split up? Yi Qing Luo added another sentence while beaming. The restless Dmo Xian was just about to unleash his aura, but like a punctured balloon, it instantly died down. Lil Luo I'm worried about you. Dmo Xian took another step towards Yiqing Luo. Although this is your hometown, but it is after all not in the Nirvana realm. It's too dangerous here. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up delicately. Her body was as light as a butterfly as she suddenly took a few steps back. With a flash, he leaped onto a nearby bridge. She supported herself with one hand on the modern stone bridge as she smiled and waved at Dmo Xian. Xian, don't worry. I'm more familiar with my hometown than anyone else. Let's go look for Jean Z and Xiao Yi first, and after we've found them, we'll meet up here. The moment he turned around, the smile on Yiqing Luo's face suddenly disappeared. What replaced it was a solemn and dignified atmosphere. That person was not Dmo Xian. Although Yiqing Luo was unable to explain why she and Dmo Xian had stepped into that white light stone wall together, with their fingers intertwined. He could even replace Dmo Xian without anyone knowing. But Yiqing Luo was completely certain now. That person was absolutely not Dmo Xian. If it was Dmo Xian, he wouldn't have repeatedly requested for her to bring him around or bring him to the place where she used to stay and such requests. Once, twice, she only thought that Dmo Xian cared about her too much. But 3 times, 4 times, furthermore, he made such a request when Xiao Jin and Yin Xiaoyi's life and death were still unknown. It couldn't help but make Yiqing Luo suspicious, because Dmo Xian knew how much she valued and cared for her brother. Why would she delay her search for Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao just to see the place where she had grown up? She knew that person was not Dmo Xian, but it was impossible to guess what motive he had for pretending to be Dmo Xian. She also did not know the other party's identity. Under such circumstances, she could not forcefully expose that he was not Dmo Xian. Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao were waiting for her rescue. Her Xian must be looking for her everywhere. She had to find them immediately. She had just crossed the bridge and entered a high-class shopping mall when Yiqing Luo discovered another strange thing. Previously, when she and Dmo Xian were standing in the middle of the road, there were people coming and going all around. The traffic was heavy. She even leaped onto the bridge. It didn't attract anyone's attention. Obviously, the people here could not see her and Dmo Xian. But when she rushed into the shopping mall, she could clearly feel the gazes of the people who were shopping on the street. There were also people pointing at her and whispering about something. Yiqing Luo's hearing was sharp, even if she wasn't listening carefully. Chapter 1820. Who's that beauty? Why is she wearing an ancient costume? Could be a big star filming a movie. She's so beautiful. She must be a big star. Let's go take a look and find out what movie the big star is filming. This ancient costume suits her too well. Just based on this face, I will definitely chase after her till the end. After a while, Yiqing Luo's back was already surrounded by a large group of people. Looking at the modern clothes in front of her, Yiqing Luo had a feeling that it was a lifetime ago, until she was surrounded by a group of people. Yiqing Luo reacted. She wanted to escape, but she was surrounded by those people. So many people were staring at her. If she used her light body technique to escape, in less than half a day, she would probably be treated as a monster. She might even be caught and dissected. What was going on? Wasn't this world an illusion created by Xishang Lan? Even the emotion was fake. Wasn't everything here fake as well? Why she felt that it was so real? She almost thought that she had passed through the white stone wall and traveled back to the 21st century. She couldn't judge the authenticity of everything in front of her. Yiqing Luo didn't dare to act rashly. "Lass, can you hear my voice?" Suddenly, a voice emerged in Yiqing Luo's mind. Yiqing Luo was pushed by the crowd, and her eyes suddenly lit up. Old Man Song. In this place, the connection between Old Man Song and her had not disappeared. "Phew, I finally got in touch with you." Old Man Song took a deep breath. "Finally, what do you mean?" Old Man Song activated the vision function in the Azure Dew bracelet. Seeing the current situation, he said, "Find a quiet place first and listen to me." Yiqing Luo was surrounded by a group of people until she couldn't breathe. Originally, those people chased her to ask if she was a star and what movie she was filming. Yiqing Luo only shook her head in denial. This time, she simply admitted that she was a star. Then she used the excuse of rushing to the set to film. As for what movie it was, she would find out after a few months. Finally, she escaped from those people. Yiqing Luo expressed that she was indeed not suitable to get along with the modern people. In the Nirvana realm, no matter how much the commoners liked someone, they would reservedly stand at a distance and watch silently. Yiqing Luo had not discovered it. While she was trying to get away and find a quiet place, not far away from the shopping mall, a strange person covered in black sportswear with a hood covering his entire face stopped in his tracks. The strange man raised his head. Even the hood revealed a pair of sinister and crimson eyes. His scarlet pupils reflected the image of a red-clothed girl in an ancient costume who had left in a hurry. His pupils constricted slightly. That was Yiqing Luo? How could she appear here? The strange man's crimson eyes were filled with astonishment. Just as the freak was about to catch up and confirm the girl's identity, the red-clothed girl was nowhere to be seen. The strange man staggered a few steps back, his body trembling slightly. After thinking for a while, he turned around and quickly walked out of the mall. Yiqing Luo finally found the toilet in the mall and squeezed into one in the corner. She wiped the sweat on her forehead. Old Man Song. Is this the real world or an illusion created by Shishanglan based on the world in my memory? Asterisk. Chapter 1821. Old Song's spirit body emerged from the Azure Dew bracelet. White mist curled up, making his spirit body look extremely illusory. This isn't the Nirvana realm. If someone were to see you like this, they might think that you're haunted. I might as well enter the Azure Dew bracelet and talk to you. Something that could make Old Man Song appear and talk to her must be very serious. No one else can see me. Old Man Song's spirit body floated one round above Yiqing Luo's head. This plane is too dangerous. You must maintain your consciousness. Danger? You mean this is not Nirvana realm, but another plane? Yiqing Luo knitted her brows. From the moment you stepped into the soulless array formation, you entered another plane. Old Man Song's voice was deep and solemn. Godless array formation. These four words gave Yiqing Luo an ominous premonition for no reason. Yes, godless array. Old Man Song looked at Yiqing Luo. Do you still remember that time? The three evils who wanted to snatch the profound phoenix ring? Those guys from the Godless Island. Of course, Yiqing Luo still remembered that group of fellows who had snatched her profound phoenix ring out of nowhere and disappeared mysteriously, never to be heard of Godless Island again. That's right, it's the Godless Island. Old Man Song's white eyebrows tightly knitted together. The poison that you use 100-pill refinements to analyze is also an extreme poison from Godless Island. Godless Island, meddling with forces outside the Nirvana realm? If I'm not wrong, Shishanglan should be from Godless Island. Moreover, he is the son of the island master of Godless Island. Old Man Song's words made Yiqing Luo's eyes sink. Her eyes were filled with astonishment and disbelief. How could the Shi clan of the West Continent and Godless Island? Speaking of this, Yiqing Luo's words suddenly came to a halt. The Shi family indeed had nothing to do with Godless Island. But that didn't mean Shanglan didn't have one. Xishanglan. She had always suspected Xishanglan's true identity. The current Xishanglan was most likely no longer the gentle Xishanglan from before. He was replaced by the so-called son of the island master of Godless Island. His motive was to get close to Yin Xiao Yi. No, more accurately, it was to get close to Yi Qing Luo. Xishanglan's target was Yi Qing Luo. Previously, Yi Qing Luo had this conjecture. Unexpectedly, Xishanglan was really not Xishanglan. Thinking of the Godless Island's interest in her profound phoenix ring, Yi Qing Luo's slender brows creased tightly. Then what is the Godless Array that you mentioned? The forbidden formation of Godless Island. Old Man Song's voice suddenly became deep and heavy. Forbidden Array formation? He dares to use a forbidden formation in the Nirvana realm? Aren't you afraid of attracting the people from the upper realm to maintain the balance in the Nirvana realm and make a move on Godless Island? Yi Qing Luo cried out in surprise. In order to deal with her, he even took out a taboo array formation. Should she feel honored? Once the soulless formation is set up, as its name implies, even gods will be unable to escape once they enter the formation. Old Man Song sighed softly. So, not to mention Xiao Jin and Xiao Yi, those two fellows, if they enter the soulless formation, just the Overlord lad, I'm afraid he will be trapped here. The beauty of the soulless formation is that it targets a person's inner heart, which is an array that attacks one's heart. It has thousands of changes, and it's an instantaneous change. Perhaps in the previous instance, you need to use your intellect to break the array. In the next instance, you need to use your strength to break the array. Chapter 1822. Then, the reason why I appear in the era I grew up in is because I still have some thoughts about this era. If it all changed according to the changes in the heart. That was the 21st century she was in now. What was there that could attack her heart? And the most important point I haven't told you. Old Man Song fixed his eyes on Yi Qing Luo, his eyes solemn. The Godless Array is not the illusion you think it is. Not an illusion? Yi Qing Luo stood up and stepped on the toilet lid. You said this is the real world? Damn, she had really returned to the 21st century? You can say that. Old Man Song nodded seriously. In this vast world, there are all kinds of big and small planes, and each plane has its own independent living space. The area you're talking about is also one of the planes in the Kangmang continent. As for why you entered this plane after the Godless Array, I have no way of knowing the answer. Old Man Song's spirit body flew one round around Yi Qing Luo's head. Luo girl, as smart as you are, you should have long noticed the secret you are hiding. Yi Qing Luo's foot on the toilet gradually retracted. Yes, she did notice something. After all, anyone who found out that they had the one and only divine phoenix profound heart jade in this world, that even the divine realm was envious of and coveted, and that they had extremely strong cultivation talent, they would have doubts about their own physique, especially when she obviously had an excellent physique. But her bones were changed, and she became a waste without any cultivation talent. Yi Qing Luo increasingly felt that she was not simple. Although in the beginning, she used her identity as the young matriarch of the Three Springs sect as an excuse. But she still couldn't convince herself. The Three Springs sect was rumored to be the guards of the God Realm Emperor, stationed in the West Continent, guarding the tomb of the God Realm Emperor. And as the successor of the Three Springs sect, the descendant of the God Realm Emperor's guard, it wasn't unreasonable for him to have exceptional talent. But, after seeing such a scumbag father, Yi Qing Luo was unable to link her own innate talent and Three Springs sect together, unless she had inherited her mother's talent. But her memories of her mother were too old, so old that she couldn't recall it. She really couldn't conclude. The fact that you've come to this plane may have been preordained. Old Man Song took a deep look at Yi Qing Luo. Lass, this plane is very dangerous for you. This is a real plane, a real world. Once you get lost in this world, you'll be assimilated into this plane and finally be completely swallowed by the Godless Array. This was the terrifying part of the soulless formation. Unknowingly, he was devoured. Even when they died, they might not even know how they died. Just like just now. Yiqing Luo was surrounded by numerous people in the shopping mall. If it was a person with extremely high vanity, under the flattery, he sank into vanity. It was very likely that he would really be devoured by this kind of greed and vanity. Finally, this old man will give you a piece of advice. The color of old man Song's spirit body gradually faded. The white, curling mist caused old man Song's body to become increasingly transparent and illusory. In this plane, there are people more powerful than you. Moreover, those two little fellows, Xiao Jin and Xiao Yi, are definitely not in this plane that you're in. Chapter 1823. Speaking of DMO Xian, Yiqing Luo was rather worried. Xian and I entered the godless array together, but the Xian I met earlier was fake. So, would DMO Xian have met the faker? That DMO Xian was so real. If it wasn't for Xiao Jin and Yin Xiaoyi, she really could not detect DMO Xian's abnormality at all. If DMO Xian met the faker, can you recognize it? That's the devouring formation eye of the soulless formation. Old Man Song explained, the devouring formations I can target everyone's heart and transform into the person you value the most in your heart, or the person closest to you, in order to gain your trust. When your body and mind are at their most relaxed and you trust it wholeheartedly, it will fuse you into its body and become one with it. Fuse into one? Yiqing Luo felt a chill down her spine. Is what you said true? That was when she was with that DMO Xian. He really trusted that DMO Xian wholeheartedly. However, she didn't seem to feel like she was being devoured. You have the divine phoenix profound heart jade to protect you. The devouring array, I can't touch you for now. Old Man Song's body was becoming more and more transparent. You'd better not be alone with the devouring formation eye. The most important thing you have to do now is find that D-Zune boy. As for what we're going to do next, we'll make other plans. Old Man Song, your body. Yiqing Luo's eyes suddenly congealed as she reached out to touch Old Man Song. But when he touched it, there was only a white mist. Old Man Song's figure completely disappeared before his eyes. I'm fine. In his mind, Old Man Song's slightly tired voice sounded. This plane has suppressed my mental strength too much. In order to get in touch with you, I've used up too much of my mental strength, causing me to be unable to maintain my spiritual form. Yiqing Luo heard what he said, and from his tone, he was indeed too exhausted, so she heaved a sigh of relief. I need to sleep for a while. During this time, you should go and look for D-Zune. With that, the connection between her and Old Man Song was cut off once again. He called out to Old Man Song a few times, but there was no response, as if he had sunk into the sea. From the looks of it, before Old Man Song woke up, she had no way of contacting Old Man Song. Suddenly, she thought of something. He immediately used his soul sense to contact the pet space. Sure enough, it was as Old Man Song said. In this plane, her spiritual power was also suppressed too much. The connection with the pet space was very weak, but it was better than not sensing anything at all. Yiqing Luo sighed silently. The most important thing right now was to find Xian. With Xian around, she believed in him. Regardless of whether it was a divine array formation or a divine array formation, there would definitely be a solution. Yiqing Luo's fingertips gently caressed the profound phoenix ring. He wondered if the Netherworld Phoenix Ring and the Netherworld Dragon Ring could still sense each other in this plane. She had better leave the washroom first before doing anything else. Yiqing Luo opened the tightly shut toilet door. Outside the washroom, there were 3 or 4 women with strange expressions. When they saw Yiqing Luo walking out from the toilet, the few of them exchanged glances and pointed at her. They seemed to be trying to guess her identity. This feeling was exactly the same as when she was surrounded by a group of star chasers in the mall. Mother asterisk Kerr. She didn't know if she should say it or not. Chapter 1824. Yiqing Luo awkwardly coughed a few times and immediately bowed to them in embarrassment. Sorry to disturb you. I was reciting the script and was too engrossed in reciting that I forgot the occasion. The surrounding women saw Yiqing Luo dressed in a red ancient costume. They believed her when she said she was reciting the script. Yiqing Luo secretly wiped off her cold sweat, apologized a few more times, and hurriedly rushed out of the washroom. She should be glad that she was attracted by Old Man Song's words. She forgot to change into a set of clothes that belonged to this plane, and the others couldn't see or hear Old Man Song's words. From the beginning to the end, they only heard her muttering to herself. This gave her an excuse to not be treated as a lunatic by others. Yiqing Luo cursed in her heart. What kind of bullshit array was this? It was actually a real plane. She didn't know what year it was in this plane. In this era of advanced information on the internet, Yiqing Luo absolutely believed that her photos would be spread all over the internet. It was not that she was narcissistic, but today's society was like this. If this news were to spread, would those old fellows from the Yi family who were still alive and her enemies be surprised when they saw her? After leaving the washroom, Yiqing Luo put this matter to the back of her mind. She raised her hand and looked at the profound phoenix ring on her fingertip. Right now, she had to find a way to gather her mental power as soon as possible. As long as she could sense the location of the profound dragon ring, it would be enough. At the same time, in a luxurious villa, a strange man in black sportswear with a hood rushed into the villa. Master! The two burly men in bodyguard uniforms who were guarding the door suddenly knelt on the ground. Their kneeling posture was extremely standard. The strange man walked in quickly. When the door of the villa was closed, that strange man who was still walking quickly suddenly stretched his body and flipped over to the second floor. In the air, a faint, profound energy was faintly discernible. The strange man walked quickly into the study on the second floor. This study was decorated exactly the same as the ancient furnishings. The strange man walked to a mahogany square table, flipped his palm, and slammed it on the table, only to hear a loud "pa" sound. The square table was separated from the middle. Then a foldable screen slowly rose. The strange man placed his palm on the screen. A powerful and majestic, profound energy shot out from his palm. Soon, the entire screen was enveloped by the mystic light. The next moment, a bone-chilling voice came from the screen. "What's the matter, Netherworld?" The strange person called Netherworld raised his head and stared fixedly at the black-robed man on the screen. His crimson eyes looked like they were dyed with blood. "I have something to discuss with the Venerable One." "The Venerable is not free." The cold voice refused without hesitation. "Yuan." Netherworld was sullen. "I have a message that I must personally tell the Venerable One. Can you bear the responsibility for delaying the Venerable One's plan?" Yuan snorted disdainfully. Before Yuming could speak again, a gentle female voice came from the screen. "All right, Yuan. It's rare for Yuming to contact us. Why make things difficult for him?" A petite black-robed person appeared on the screen. "You knew." Netherworld's crimson eyes flickered when he saw the person, and his voice became gentler. "Is the Venerable One not around?" "The Venerable One has gone to Godless Island to discuss something with the Lord of Godless Island. He is not in the palace for the time being." Yunu smiled gently. Netherworld was slightly stunned. He pursed his lips and looked at Yunu. "Yunu, then please tell the Venerable One personally that I found Yiqing Luo in the 21st century. Asterisk. Chapter 1825. Yu Luo's evil eyes lit up slightly. Her bright red nails scratched her pink lips as her lips curled into a sinister smile. Oh, she really entered the soulless array. Yuming was slightly stunned when he heard that. Soulless array? What's the point of talking so much to him? Yu Luo scoffed. An exiled lowly slave? What rights does she have to know about the Venerable's plan? The dark girl glared at Yu Han coquettishly, then looked at the Lord of the Netherworld with a smile. "I will tell the Venerable One about this. You go to that plane and help the Venerable One find what he needs. I will plead for you so that the Venerable One can bring you back as soon as possible." Yu Ming's other hand, which was hanging by his side, clenched tightly into a fist shape. His crimson eyes were filled with coldness. After some time, he fixed his gaze on Yu Luo on the screen. Yiqing Luo appearing in this plane. Is it the Venerable's intention? Of course. Yu Luo chuckled. Everything is in the Venerable's control. As for the reason why Yi Qing Luo appeared in that plane, don't ask too much. Yu Ming's eyes dimmed as he responded in a low voice, yes. Without waiting for Yu Luo to speak again, Yu Luo had already raised her hand and cut off the connection between them. Seeing the screen, which was wrapped in the profound glow, gradually turning into an ordinary screen. Yu Luo's face disappeared from the screen. Yu Ming's hand slowly slid down from the screen. Yi Qing Luo appearing here, it was the Venerable's intention. He came to this plane because of the Venerable's intention. That was Yi Qing Luo's appearance. Did it mean that the Venerable was getting impatient? The Venerable wanted Yi Qing Luo to find that thing herself? Once again, he had become an abandoned chess piece, hadn't he? If Feng Ling was here, she would definitely be able to recognize the black-robed person who was called Yu Luo was the one who looked delicate, but was actually gloomy in the dark sacred region. At the same time, in the 21st century plane, not far from the wealthy district in the Century Garden, Yi Qing Luo, who was closing her eyes and gathering her mental power in an attempt to get in touch with DMO Xian through the profound phoenix, ring suddenly opened her eyes. In her charming eyes, there was a faint look of astonishment. She seemed to have sensed the fluctuation of profound qi. How could there be anyone in this plane who possessed profound energy? But this fluctuation of profound energy she would not sense wrongly. In his mind, he suddenly recalled what old man Tsang's spirit body had said before it disappeared. In this plane, there was someone even more powerful than her. Was he referring to profound practitioners who cultivated profound energy like her? This was a plane that truly existed. How could it be possible that a profound practitioner would appear? Yi Qing Luo vigilantly looked towards the direction of the profound qi fluctuation. That was the direction of the wealthy district. Someone who could buy a villa in the wealthy district. In this plane of the 21st century, the rich were the noble. This meant that that profounder had been on this plane for a very long time. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes and was about to follow the profound qi fluctuations to find that cultivator. Suddenly, the fluctuation of profound qi was cut off. She stopped in her tracks. Squinting her eyes, she sensed carefully. However, no matter how hard she tried, she could not sense any fluctuation of profound qi. It was as if what she had sensed just now was nothing more than an illusion. But Yi Qing Luo was clear. That was definitely not an illusion. He chose to gather his spiritual energy in the Century Garden in the wealthy district. It was precisely because she had taken a fancy to the heaven and earth spiritual energy in this garden. And over at the wealthy district, there was profound qi fluctuations. That was enough to prove that that person had taken a fancy to the heaven and earth spiritual energy here. Yi Qing Luo wanted to find that cultivator. It would be best if she could find out from that person how to absorb the heaven and earth spiritual energy and gather her spiritual energy and consciousness. But she did not dare to act rashly. She knew nothing about the other party's identity. Chapter 1826. Just as Yi Qing Luo was hesitating, a clear and gentle voice suddenly came from behind. Little Luo, I have finally found you. The familiar voice made Yi Qing Luo's heart tighten uncontrollably. She quickly turned around. She saw a man dressed in a purple robe with peerless elegance slowly walking towards her. His purple robe fluttered, flowing with a dazzling brilliance. An ethereal temperament and a majestic aura caused others to be unable to shift their gazes away. Xian. Yi Qing Luo's eyes lit up slightly as her face revealed a joyful expression. DMO Xian's lips curled up gently, his smile devilishly charming and alluring. He opened his arms to her. Yi Qing Luo was just about to lift her feet and walk towards DMO Xian's direction. Suddenly, he felt a tingling sensation on his fingertips. She looked down and saw that the profound phoenix ring on her finger was glowing with a devilish red light. The scorching pain constantly stimulated her divine sense. Profound phoenix ring. Xian. Yes. The connection between the Netherworld Phoenix Ring and the Netherworld Dragon Ring had yet to take shape. How did DMO Xian know that she was in the Century Garden? This person was not DMO Xian. This was the devouring array's eye, an illusion of DMO Xian. Only by devouring the formation would he be able to find her. He knew in his heart that the person in front of him was not DMO Xian. However, for some reason, Yiqing Luo had an impulse to walk over to him and pounce into his arms. Was it because he was too similar to DMO Xian? Or, not giving Yiqing Luo much time to think, the profound phoenix ring on her fingertips released a scorching heat that made her sober up from the pain. Devouring the formation, to bewitch her heart? Little Luo, what's wrong? The devouring formation saw that she had stopped and warmly reminded her. Yiqing Luo stabilized her state of mind, and her heart had already calmed down. Suddenly, she thought of something, and a sly smile appeared in the depths of her charming eyes. This DMO Xian in front of him was the devouring array, of the godless array. If Qiao Jin and Yin Xiao Yi both entered the soulless formation, through devouring the formation core, there was a possibility that he could obtain the whereabouts of Qiao Jin and Xiao Yi. Yiqing Luo's face was filled with smiles as she looked at him with a light smile. Have you found Jin Zi and Xiao Yi? I'm worried about you. The core of the devouring array looked up, its peach blossom eyes filled with grievance. Our most important mission right now is to find Jin Zi and Xiao Yi. Yiqing Luo put on a helpless look. This place is too dangerous. We must split up and speed up the search for Jin Zi and Xiao Yi. The devouring array eye's expression froze for a moment, but it quickly smiled and said, This place is indeed dangerous. I can only be at ease if I'm by your side. This is my hometown, the place where I grew up. No matter how dangerous it is, I will be fine. Yiqing Luo waved her hand and said indifferently. The devouring formation core fell silent. Perhaps he was hesitating on how to think of a way to stay by Yiqing Luo's side. Or perhaps it was because it was astonished that Yiqing Luo actually didn't lose her senses from its hallucination technique. The beauty of the soulless formation lay in attacking the mind. However, the heart of the person who was attacked did not waver. Even the devouring formation core was powerless. It wanted to devour Yiqing Luo. He needed Yiqing Luo to be at ease and to trust him wholeheartedly. I'll go ahead to sense Jin Zi and Xiao Yi's presence. You go over there to search. Yiqing Luo didn't wait for the devouring formation core's reply as she turned around and walked towards the direction of the wealthy district. Her footsteps were slow, intentionally waiting for the devouring formation core to stop her. Indeed, at the next instance, the devouring formation core's slightly anxious voice was heard from behind. Lil Luo, I've already found where they are. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up slightly. A crafty smile filled her eyes. She was waiting for the devouring formation core to say this sentence. Asterisk. Chapter 1827. When she turned around, Yiqing Luo had already concealed the craftiness in her eyes. When he looked at the core of the devouring formation, his eyes were filled with surprise. Yiqing Luo walked to the side of the devouring array core as she smiled like a flower. Where are they? I'll bring you there. The eye of the devouring formation reached out a slender arm towards her, wanting to embrace her delicate body. Just as he raised his hand, Yiqing Luo dodged sideways and raised her hand to block its outstretched hand. The devouring array core's expression sunk as it raised its eyes to look at Yiqing Luo. But he saw Yiqing Luo pouting her pink lips with its Sundara look. Seeing that I'm so anxious and worried about Xiao Yi and the rest, you still dare to tease me. I'll punish you not to touch me. The body of the devouring formation core stiffened. Yiqing Luo's peripheral vision saw that the other hand of the devouring array's eye was tightly clenched into a fist. Apparently, he was infuriated by Yiqing Luo. However, it had to suppress the anger in its heart. In Yiqing Luo's memories, it was deeply aware of how DMO Xian pampered his wife. It retracted its hand stiffly and smiled. Its eyes were sparkling, and it was a peerless beauty. All right. It's my fault that I didn't tell you about this immediately. I won't touch you. Looking at the devouring formation eye, it obediently took a few steps back. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but sneer in her heart. A fake was a fake. Even if it had completely replicated DMO Xian's appearance and temperament. Nor could they replicate DMO Xian's uniqueness. If it was DMO Xian, how could he possibly be obedient and not touch her just because he said he wouldn't flatter her? He would definitely pull her into his embrace. Little Luo, don't waste any more time. Let's go. The devouring array core really didn't touch Yiqing Luo, and specially walked in front of her to lead the way. Xiao, Yi and Jinzi are waiting for us to go over. After some time, he didn't get any response from Yiqing Luo. The devouring array core turned around, but discovered that Yiqing Luo was still standing at the same spot, not moving at all. A happy and surprised smile gradually appeared on her gorgeous face. She lifted her hand and looked at the profound phoenix ring on her finger. His heart suddenly soared. That smile, it caused the devouring formation core to have a strange feeling. To prevent any accidents from happening, it couldn't care less about maintaining DMO Xian, his gentleness towards Yiqing Luo. Suddenly, he took quick steps towards Yiqing Luo, and his voice was filled with urgency. Lil Luo, I sense that Xiao, Yi, and Jinzi are in danger. We need to rush over immediately. Its figure had just neared Yiqing Luo. Suddenly, a majestic and vast dark force came crashing down from all directions. Bang! A series of deafening explosions resounded throughout the entire floor. The devouring formation's core keenly sensed danger approaching. The hand which was about to grab Yiqing Luo was immediately retracted. His figure turned into a black shadow as he retreated a few steps. The sound of rocks colliding and tearing was accompanied by the howling of the wind. The surging airwaves transformed into numerous majestic vortexes. Sand and dust filled the air. In front of Yiqing Luo's eyes, an enchantment barrier enveloped her. The leaves of the entire century garden rustled, and the fresh flowers filled the garden, dancing in the strong wind. At the place where the devouring formation core stood, a thin crack appeared. A moment later, the crack suddenly split open. The Century Garden, along with that wealthy district, was shaking continuously. However, the young lady who was protected by the enchantment barrier, there wasn't any feeling of turbulence at all. But the devouring formation core, standing opposite Yiqing Luo, wasn't having it easy. The surroundings of the Century Garden, because of this huge commotion, rang a series of alarms. From all directions, there were surging breaths from the crowd. Apparently, the commotion in the Century Garden had attracted the attention of the surrounding guards. Chapter 1828. The devouring array eyes face darkened as it stared at the young lady who was protected by the enchantment in the hurricane. Its peach blossom eyes flashed with a piercingly cold glint. That peerless face, in a split second, was covered with a gloomy and cold aura. It looked extremely sinister, but exceptionally handsome. What was going on? Who was it? Who disturbed its prey? Do you think you can impersonate this lord just because you want to? An extremely cold voice came from afar. Immediately after, a shadow flashed across the sky. The devouring array, I only felt a dull pain in its chest. Before he could even catch the last purple afterimage, he was already gone. That figure had its back facing him, walking slowly towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Ah Xian. Yiqing Luo's voice trembled as she looked at the man walking towards her. Purple robe billowed, incomparably handsome. His black hair was tied into a crown, wantonly and ostentatious. The man's figure was tall and slender, with an exquisite face, peach blossom eyes that reflected the dark light, rosy red lips. No matter how she looked, he was a complete evildoer, stunning the world, peerless. When the four eyes met, Yiqing Luo saw deep worry and longing in his eyes. She raised her lips. Her eyebrows were tinged with a trace of smile. The lines on his face also gradually softened. He was Ah Xian. It was her, Ah Xian. Just when the devouring array, I was about to bring her away. She could sense the connection between the Netherworld Phoenix Ring and the Netherworld Dragon Ring. Yiqing Luo knew It was DMO Xian. The real DMO Xian was here. He came to find her when the real one appeared. The fake DMO Xian in the devouring array, I looked extremely comical. That was a complete copy of the appearance and aura. At this moment, the contrast was like heaven and earth. Yiqing Luo was suspicious of her own eyes. Such an obvious gap. She actually recognized the devouring array eye as DMO Xian in the beginning. She didn't know. The current DMO Xian, in order to find her, released his usual strength. His aura and temperament had undergone a double transformation. Standing in front of the DMO Xian, who had replicated Yiqing Luo's memories in the devouring array's eye. Naturally, he could suppress all the light from the devouring array's eye. How could you? The devouring formation stared at this man who had completely disregarded it. Its heart was burning with rage. It was the eye of the soulless formation. The inside of this formation was its territory, but it was actually injured by an outsider who entered its territory. The devouring formation core could not endure this humiliation no matter what. DMO Xian's footsteps stopped in front of Yiqing Luo. The airflow around the two of them gradually calmed down. The enchantment which enveloped Yiqing Luo also dissipated at this moment. He spread his arms wide. She was all smiles as she threw herself into his arms. "Ah Xian, you finally found me." Yiqing Luo buried her head in his arms, inhaling the elegant fragrance from his body. She was Ah Xian. She loved Ah Xian alone. DMO Xian tightened his arms. He could feel the warmth of her delicate body and her light breathing. His heart, which was hanging in the air, was finally at ease. The devouring array looked at the two people in front of him who were in love with each other, completely disregarding him. His fingers clenched tightly as he looked at DMO Xian, whose back was facing him. Suddenly, his figure flashed as he charged towards DMO Xian's direction. He had just taken a step forward. The devouring formation core suddenly let out a blood-curdling scream. Chapter 1829. It clutched its chest as a mouthful of blood spurted out from its mouth. What did you do to me?" The devouring, I couldn't exert any strength at all. Even maintaining its current form was a little strenuous. Until now, the devouring I had finally understood. Right from the start, Yiqing Luo knew that it wasn't the real DMO Xian. So, she rejected its touch, and didn't call it Ah Xian. Might as well. The devouring, I didn't waste any more energy to maintain DMO Xian's appearance. Gradually, a black fog appeared in front of the two of them. Human-shaped black fog. It had human eyes, nose, mouth. Whatever humans had, this black fog also had. It was as if he was a man created by the black fog. This was the devouring eye. It looked really strange and ugly. DMO Xian's brows rose slightly as he looked down at the devouring eye, noble and elegant, as though he was looking at everything in the world, making the devouring eye feel a sense of humiliation. DMO Xian's thin lips curled slightly as he smiled. "You dare to touch my woman, your guts aren't small." His tone was very light, but it revealed an oppressive sense of power. The devouring, I felt the energy in its body was disappearing at an extremely fast speed. There was a strong sense of fear in its eyes. "Tell me the location of Xiao Yi and Xiao Jin. Perhaps I can consider letting you off." DMO Xian smiled calmly. The devouring eye panted as its eyes were filled with viciousness. "Don't even think about it. Don't ever think of finding those two lowly humans." Slap, only to hear the sound of an air current breaking through the air. Yiqing Luo raised a palm of profound qi and slapped directly towards the devouring eye's face. A heavy slap carried a strong, profound qi. One slap caused the devouring eye to spit out a large mouthful of blood. In terms of lowly, an intangible body like you, without a face, is the real lowly one. Yiqing Luo sneered. "If you don't want to say, I can't be bothered to waste time to force you." The devouring eye's face instantly darkened. Although the face was like a mass of black fog, it was a mass of pitch black. "You're definitely not the only formation eye in this massive soulless formation. You might not care about your life, but there are plenty of others who do. Yiqing Luo Wei squinted her eyes as she stared at the devouring array core, revealing an obvious ridicule. Once the array core's energy is depleted, it will completely disappear in the godless array, right? The black mist-like body of the devouring formation core twitched violently on the ground. This was obviously tacitly agreeing to Yiqing Luo's question. It cherished its life. It naturally cherished its life. In the entire deity array formation, which array core didn't care about their lives. He had been in the godless formation for tens of thousands of years. The godless island had sent tens of thousands of people to the godless array. It could easily capture the weakness in everyone's heart. Then it would completely devour the other party. This was the first time it had failed. From Yiqing Luo's memories, the devouring array core had read Dmo Xian's power. Now that he saw Dmo Xian with his own eyes, as the devouring formation that attacked the heart, it naturally understood. It couldn't afford to provoke this man. The godless island had actually let such a powerful person in. Were they trying to destroy the godless array formation completely? Lil Luo, it refuses to say, what should we do? Dmo Xian's eyes drooped as he gazed at the young lady in his arms as he asked with a light smile. Chapter 1830. Dmo Xian had a whatever my wife says expression as he nodded with a smile. Then we shall do as Lil Luo says. He waved his hand. His purple robe rolled up a terrifying, profound energy. The irresistible force made the devouring array cry out in shock. I'll speak. I'll speak. I'll tell you where the two humans are at. I don't want to disappear. I don't want to disappear. Yiqing Luo raised her hand and hugged Dmo Xian's arm. Dmo Xian also restrained his aura at the right time. She raised her brows and continued to smile. Whether it disappears or not depends on how much obsession you have to survive. Yiqing Luo felt that the feeling of a fox borrowing the tiger's might was indeed cool. The devouring array trembled as it stared at Dmo Xian with trepidation and told him where Qiao Jin and Yin Xiao Yi were at. They've been teleported to a battle spell formation. That's the most devastating of all the spell formations. In that place, there's only battle. Battle. Battle on and on. Yiqing Luo's face instantly turned pale. Are you sure what you said is true? It's absolutely true. Generally speaking, those who enter the array will be split into different places according to their own hearts, to undergo the array's devouring and assimilation. But this time, not only the two of you entered the same place. They too are all in the same place, so I remember it very clearly. Looking at the devouring array eyes' solemn look, Yiqing Luo's expression turned uglier by the minute. Her fingers tightened as she held Dmo Xian's arm tightly. Dmo Xian gently caressed her head as he hugged her petite body tightly. Immediately, his gaze turned chilly as he looked at the devouring array. The way to go to that place. The devouring array, I didn't expect Dmo Xian to ask so directly as he was shocked. I don't know. Don't know? Then you have no value. Yiqing Luo was burning with anxiety. How would she have the mood to watch the devouring array eyes' little trick? I can bring you there. The devouring array core was so frightened that it hurriedly changed its words. As if afraid that the two of them wouldn't believe it, it solemnly vowed, I am the array core of the soulless array core. I can track the whereabouts of everyone who enters the soulless array core. Yiqing Luo didn't bother with his nonsense as she let go of Dmo Xian's arm and walked in big strides to the side of the devouring array core. She took out a pill from the profound phoenix ring and stuffed it into the devouring array core's mouth. Now lead the way. After consuming the elixir, the devouring formation core's strength gradually returned to its body. It got up from the ground. He touched his limbs to make sure that they were completely healed. Just as he was about to turn around to face Yiqing Luo to flatter her alchemy skills with joy, what greeted him was a kick to the face. Bang! The devouring formation core fell to the ground. Cut the crap. Lead the way immediately. Yiqing Luo was burning with anxiety as she urged him to kick. The devouring array core was afraid of these two and didn't dare to play any more tricks. It obediently led the two of them to where the eye of the formation resided. The location of the formation I was also where the formation I was fixed. Once the formation I was destroyed, it would disappear. Bringing them to their residences and the devouring formation core was already a gamble with the determination to die. On the way, the devouring formation core looked at the worried Yiqing Luo and suddenly thought of something as it hesitantly asked that, "Are you sure you want to leave this plane?" Yiqing Luo's cold eyes swept across. The devouring formation core immediately shrunk its head. This cowardly look, where was the slightest bit of the dignified attitude when it transformed into DMO Xian? Asterisk. Chapter 1831. She took a few more steps. The devouring array core shrunk its neck as it spoke in a trembling voice. I'm telling the truth. You want to leave this plane? Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased slightly. I don't have the time to talk nonsense with you. But, the devouring array core stuttered. Looking at Yiqing Luo's frosty expression, it didn't dare to say it out. It pouted and muttered softly. You coming to this plane is intentionally arranged by someone. If you leave this plane, wouldn't that mean that Lord wasted 100 years of profound energy to send you over? The devouring array core's voice became softer. But based on Yiqing Luo and DMO Xian's hearing ability, they could hear it clearly. Their expressions changed slightly, and they looked at each other. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as her voice turned chilly. You're saying someone intentionally sent me to the 21st century plane? The devouring array core widened its black, fog-like eyes, as though it was extremely astonished. It had already said it very softly. Why were they still able to hear it? Yiqing Luo slapped its forehead. Don't go into a daze. Speak clearly. I'm just one of the thousands and thousands of array cores in the godless array, so I don't know much. Before it could finish its words, it met Yiqing Luo's icy cold gaze and heard the cracking sound of finger joints. The devouring array core instantly cowered as it lowered its head. You were indeed sent to this plane by someone. Intentionally sent to this plane? Who was it? And even wasted 100 years of profound energy? 100 years of profound energy. Even if it was someone with average innate talent, in 100 years' time, he would be able to cultivate to at least 2 grades of power. That person, what motive did he have? She knew it. If it was based on a person's inner heart, the plane that was sent to, no matter what, it should be Nirvana Realm, Devil Class, or the World Group's old residence. Anyway, it was absolutely not the 21st century. In the 21st century, other than the long-lost feelings, there was nothing worth her nostalgia. But in Nirvana Realm, there was her brother, her kin, her favorite people. This was the place that could truly conquer her inner heart. So, she came to the 21st century. It was deliberate. Don't ask me why I sent you here. I really don't know. I only know that in order to send you to this plane, other than the opportunity of the soulless formation, I also need to exhaust 100 years of profound energy, but I feel that if they used 100 years of profound energy to send you over, there must be something important that they need you to do. If you were to head to another plane so easily, wouldn't that be a waste of that Lord's 100 years of profound energy? When Yiqing Luo heard that, her expression didn't change at all. She curled her lips in disdain. What I hate most in my life is being used by others. The devouring formation core was taken aback for a moment before coming to a realization. Yiqing Luo totally didn't know who was the person who sent her to the 21st century. Not to mention, she came to this plane to do something important. Yiqing Luo totally didn't know. Moreover, under the circumstances where no one knew, he had schemed against Yiqing Luo. Based on Yiqing Luo's character, how would she possibly care about that Lord and waste a few hundred years of profound energy? That had nothing to do with her at all. I'm not interested to know about unimportant people. Yiqing Luo gave it a cold glance, If you continue talking rubbish, I'll cut off your tongue. Chapter 1832. The devouring array, I obediently led the way. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian walked behind. She tugged Dmo Xian's arm and lowered her voice. Xian, who in Nirvana realm has lived for at least 500 years and above, if she was sent to this plane by expending 100 years of profound energy, that person's cultivation was at least 500 years and above. Otherwise, it was absolutely impossible to use 1 million profound energy to do such a thing. Perhaps he's not from Nirvana realm. Dmo Xian's narrow peach blossom eyes squinted as a piercingly cold glint shot out from his eyes. Godless Island also intervened in this matter. Yiqing Luo's expression turned grave. Indeed, she recalled everything that had happened in her mind. Yiqing Luo could totally sense that she had been led by the nose from the start to the end. From entering the treasure-gathering pavilion to auction back the sky essence, serene grass, until Xiao Yi was captured. Xishanglan then made use of Xiao Yi and Jin Zi to lure the both of them to discover the secret passage in the treasure-gathering pavilion. From there, they automatically entered the godless array which had been set long ago. Just for the sake of sending her to the 21st century? That person, who was he? Just as she was deep in thoughts, the man beside her suddenly pressed her wrist. Yiqing Luo suddenly regained her senses as she looked up at him. The both of them stopped in their tracks. Dmo Xian was expressionless as his piercingly cold gaze went past Yiqing Luo and swept towards the position behind her. Come out. Two icy cold words, as though it was wrapped in frost. It was as if even the surrounding air had been frozen. The devouring array, which was leading the way, had a huge change in expression as it turned its head vigilantly and followed Dmo Xian's line of sight. Who? Who is it? Have I been discovered? It frantically hid behind Dmo Xian's back as it stuck its head out and looked left and right. The atmosphere froze for a moment. Dmo Xian's palm moved. His purple robe rolled up a strong airflow. That imposing manner was like a roaring sea wave, whistling as it attacked towards a certain direction. Yiqing Luo was so shocked that she immediately hugged his arm. Xian, in this place you can't recklessly use your profound energy. If we're discovered by the people in this world, we will be treated as monsters and brought to be researched. The moment the young lady hugged his arm, in an instant, the dense aura completely dissipated. Dmo Xian's brows drooped as he gazed at the person leaning on his arm and smiled faintly. With this array, no one in this world can see us. Yiqing Luo was stunned for a moment and immediately let go of her hand. Oh, right. Then quickly use your profound qi to blast that tracker to death. The responsibility will be on me. She recalled herself and the Dmo Xian, who was transformed from the devouring array standing at the entrance of the crowded street. Indeed, no one could see her. Wait. Since the people of this world couldn't see them, why were there still people following them? Could it be? Yiqing Luo's heart trembled. No way. There really were people who weren't from this world. At the next instance, Yiqing Luo had her answer. Dmo Xian's profound qi fell into the haystack not far behind him. Then, a black figure dashed out of the haystack. Yiqing Luo saw it clearly. It was a strange man wearing black sportswear and a hoodie that covered his entire body and face. She just looked at him like this. Yiqing Luo could feel a strong aura encircling around him. This person was not simple. Who are you? Dmo Xian narrowed his eyes as he sized him up. His voice was deep and cold. Chapter 1833. Towards his reply, Yiqing Luo didn't feel much. Her attention was all on the strange man, that pair of scarlet-red eyes. She stared at the pair of red eyes in astonishment. After staring for a while, she said, Your eyes natural. The strange man answered calmly, as if he was already used to explaining the problems with his eyes. Natural red eyes? How could there be someone with such a strange eye color? However, not waiting for Yiqing Luo to continue asking the doubts in her heart, Dmo Xian had already hugged her shoulders tightly, shoving her into his arms, and immediately looked at the strange man coldly. "You're not from Nirvana realm. You're Aura." He paused, as his brows creased slightly. "Godless Islands people?" "No." The strange man shook his head. "My name is Yu Ming, indeed. I'm considered to be from the same place as you." Purpose. DMO, Xian didn't want to talk nonsense with him. Yu Ming looked at Yiqing Luo, who was nestled in DMO, Xian's arms, peeking out her little head, blinking her charming eyes at him. He smiled, as his red eyes faintly flashed a few red rays. "I want to cooperate with you." "Cooperate?" Yiqing Luo raised her brows. Just as she opened her mouth, the hand around her waist suddenly tightened. Yiqing Luo patted the back of his hand as she raised her eyes to look at the awkward, obviously jealous man. She was helpless as she pinched Mo Xian's hand again. She stared at Yu Ming, but it wasn't because she had taken a fancy to Yu Ming's face. She only felt that Yu Ming's pair of red eyes was a little strange. Moreover, in this world, in terms of looks, who could match Mo Xian's looks? Yiqing Luo stretched out her hand as she pinched his tight face, but her words were directed at Yu Ming, who says, "How do you want to cooperate with us?" "Bring me out of this plane." Yu Ming calmly stated his request. "I want to go back to our era." Yiqing Luo scoffed lightly. "You haven't even stated your exchange terms, and you've already raised your own request. Are you so confident that I'll be interested in your cooperation?" Yu Ming said indifferently, "I've been in this plane for 10 years. After a pause, his scarlet-red eyes locked onto Yiqing Luo. "I discovered the hidden Yi family's ancestral tomb." Yiqing Luo's brows twitched. She knew from Yu Ming's gaze that he'd obviously recognized her. The reclusive Yi family. Before she transmigrated, he was the head of the reclusive Yi clan, the ancestral tomb. This was the reason why she was sent to the Nirvana realm. But she remembered that she had heard the old men of the reclusive Yi clan talk about it. The tomb of the Yi clan's ancestors hid too many disasters and secrets. Apart from the descendants of the Yi clan, no one else could find the tomb of their ancestor. It was also because of this that she had been deceived by that group of old men to go to her ancestor's tomb, open it, and obtain the azure dew bracelet. She had entered the tomb of her ancestors before. He naturally understood why the group of old men from the Yi clan placed so much importance on the ancestral tomb. Yu Ming was also interested in the tomb of the Yi clan's ancestors then. When Yu Ming knew that she was a descendant of the Yi clan, he would not let her go. Talking about the ancestral tomb, that was also asking for her help, because only she had the qualification to enter the ancestral tomb. Asking for her help to enter the ancestral tomb again. Asking her to bring him back to their era. Yiqing Luo really wanted to laugh at his face. He was indeed a red-eyed person. His face was really big. Chapter 1834. In the tomb of the Yi clan's ancestor, there is an azure water divine weapon. Yu Ming said word by word. Yiqing Luo's expression changed slightly. Vast water god armament? Yes. Netherworld nodded firmly. "I know you need the deep water divine artifact. This information in exchange for you taking me back to our time should be worth it." Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as she sized up Yu Ming's expression. Indeed, she needed the azure water divine tool. She had promised Old Man Song he would gather a complete set of azure water divine armaments as soon as possible. Although she had entered her ancestor's tomb before, she hadn't noticed anything other than the azure dew bracelet. As for whether or not there was an azure water divine artifact, she really wasn't too sure. Other than the Yi family, no one can enter the ancestral tomb. How did you know, and how did you ascertain that the Tsang Shui artifact is in the ancestral tomb? Yiqing Luo raised her doubts. To tell you the truth, I came to this plane for the vast water divine artifact. But right now, I want to leave this plane more than the azure water divine artifact. His eyes were sincere. It didn't sound like he was lying. She was silent for a moment as she glanced at the devouring array, which was trying its best to reduce its presence. Her eyes flashed slightly. But compared to the azure water divine artifact, I care more about my brother's life. Then she raised her voice and said, "Little formation core, continue to lead the way." Saying that, she held DMO Xian's hand and walked towards the direction of the devouring array's eye. The devouring formation core panicked and was at a loss of what to do. Really want to leave? Then he continue with your nonsense? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as she looked at it with a smile, which didn't look like a smile. The devouring formation core immediately covered its mouth and shook its head vigorously. Go, I'll lead the way. The three of them continued forward, with his back facing the netherworld. DMO Xian's lips curled upwards as he leaned close to her ear. Lil Luo has become crafty. Yiqing Luo rubbed her face against his shoulder as she gave a light laugh. Who is he? What kind of person is he? The motive of the cooperation and such, I don't even understand it. So why should I trust him? She really did need the vast water divine artifact. But now is not the time. Facing a netherworld with ulterior motives, even if she wanted it, she would not take it. Who knew if the netherworld was taking advantage of her identity as a descendant of a Yi clan? Once she took out the vast water divine weapon, wouldn't it be a loss if the netherworld snatched it away instead? Although, with DMO Xian around, this kind of situation would basically not happen. However, it was better to be safe than sorry. She didn't want to become a chess piece in someone else's hands. Most importantly, Xiao, Yi, and Jin Zi were still fighting in an extremely dangerous plane. She had no more time to waste on the ancestral tombs. He had only taken a few steps. Yu Ming's figure flashed and appeared in front of the two of them. Miss Yi, your brother. Just as he asked, the devouring formation I had already told him about Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao Yi's matters in a simple manner. In the end, he didn't forget to add, yes. You have to persuade this young lady. The battle planes over there are full of fighting prowess. Even if you rush over now, I'm afraid that your brother might already be dead. The word die had only just emitted a stream of air. The devouring array core was sent flying by Yiqing Luo's kick. Missy, what the array core said actually makes a lot of sense. Yu Ming nodded thoughtfully. Give me 10 minutes. If those two brothers of yours are still alive, I have a way to ensure their safety. Yiqing Luo's eyes flashed as her slender fingers instinctively curled up tightly. She pursed her lips as her tone turned heavy. Give me a reason to believe you. Asterisk. Chapter 1835. Yu Ming didn't open his mouth, but directly used his actions to show his sincerity. He flipped his palm, and a transparent screen floated above his palm. Following that, he raised his other hand and condensed his profound qi, covering the screen. A ray of profound qi encircled the screen. Not long after, an extremely illusory image that resembled a vast universe appeared on the screen. The entire screen was covered by that piece of black nothingness. Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased slightly as she inched closer. What is this place? The plane where your two brothers are at. Yu Ming replied calmly. Yiqing Luo's expression changed slightly as she quickly rushed to the screen. The image on the screen was clearly imprinted into Yiqing Luo's eyes. In the pitch-black space of nothingness, there were some faintly discernible lights flickering within. She could faintly see the surrounding thousands of stars, sparkling with a weak light. The first feeling it gave Yiqing Luo was, it was a space under the vast starry sky, tranquil and beautiful. But when Yiqing Luo's vision was fixed on a certain spot on the screen, her heart was fiercely in pain. What tranquil, what beautiful. This was simply a massacre under the tranquil atmosphere. Fresh blood under the beautiful atmosphere. Yin Xiao Yi and Xiao Jin, the both of them held their weapons in their hands as they constantly fought against the various monsters which were surging towards them. Those monsters which were killed, no matter how they were killed, they could swiftly heal themselves, piecing together into a new, extremely strange, but even more powerful monster. Battle. This was the battle plane. Here, there is only this piece of beautiful nothingness space. Here, there were only one after another, continuously reviving and reassembling monsters. They only had one goal. Battle. To battle with the outsiders. To battle with the other monsters in the plane. Then to devour the other party's energy, to consolidate their own energy, In this plane, the battle would never stop. Yin Xiao Yi and Xiao Jin's faces matched. Apparently, they had been battling for a long period of time. Yi Qing Luo could tell. If they continued to battle like this, these two people would soon run out of stamina. Her heart seemed to be pricked by needles. She pushed Yu Ming and turned her head. Her slightly reddened eyes stared fiercely at the formation eye. Send me to the battle plane immediately. Immediately. The eye of the devouring formation was shocked by the look in her eyes. It responded with a trembling voice. Just as she was about to lead the way, Netherworld's calm voice came. Miss He, you don't have to be so impatient. Calm down. Yi Qing Luo's charming eyes were filled with anger as she stared coldly at Yu Ming. When the person you care about is in the battle plane, will you show me how to calm down? Yu Ming was taken aback. He seemed to subconsciously replace Yu Nu with Yin Xiao, Yi, and Xiao Jin. His heart suddenly tightened. If it was Netherwoman who entered the battle plane, he indeed wouldn't be able to calm down. Seeing Yu Ming's eyes filled with struggle, a glint flashed past Yi Qing Luo's eyes. It seemed that this fellow called Yu Ming really cared about someone in his heart. I have a way to keep them safe for now. Yu Ming looked at the two people supporting each other on the screen. So, you don't have to rush to the battle dimension. Temporarily safe? Yi Qing Luo raised her brows. What I want is not temporary. Chapter 1836. You weren't devoured by the godless spell formation, and you were even able to tame the spell formation core and send you to the battle plane. You can only say that you were lucky. Yu Ming solemnly looked at the devouring formation eye, which was hiding at the side. However, if you enter the battle dimension, you won't have the chance to transfer dimensions anymore. In other words, he couldn't possibly go to the battle dimension and bring Yin Xiao, Yi, and Xiao Jin to the 21st century dimension, because once he went there would be no chance for him to come back. Compared to the battle plane, without a doubt, he would be able to live longer if he chose the 21st century. Yi Qing Luo pursed her pink lips as she stared at the battle between the two people on the screen. She tried hard not to let her emotions show on her face. Yu Ming continued. The vast water divine weapon only exists in the tomb of the Yi clan's ancestor in the 21st century. If you leave this plane, it means that you will never be able to collect a complete set of the vast water divine weapon. Yi Qing Luo's brows creased slightly. She could not refute Netherworld's words. She had promised Old Man Song that she would gather a set of blue water divine tools. Moreover, the vast water divine weapon was a special existence to her. Leave this plane. This also meant that the vast water divine weapon in the ancestral tomb would forever be sealed in the ancestral tomb. She couldn't help but praise this fellow called Netherworld. He was very smart and knew how to capture people's hearts. She wanted to use the Netherworld. Instead, he was led by the nose by the Netherworld. How long is the temporary safety you mentioned? A clear and elegant voice came from behind him. DMO, Xian slowly walked to Yi Qing Luo's side, his long arms wrapped around her tightly. The elegant sandalwood scent lingered around Yi Qing Luo. She felt the familiar warmth of the man. Yi Qing Luo's restless heart immediately calmed down. She looked up at the man's handsome chin and said in a voice that only the two of them could hear, Xian knows me best. DMO, Xian lowered his gaze. Her peach blossom eyes sparkled with a dazzling charm. His thin lips curled up slightly, and his gaze seemed to be saying, Of course, I understand, my woman. From a moment Yu Ming appeared, Yi Qing Luo knew that this person was the owner of the profound qi fluctuation which she sensed from the wealthy district in the Century Garden. His strength might very well be above hers. She was a profound practitioner of the sky, profound realm. Netherworld's strength was above hers. Netherworld was definitely not someone from the Nirvana realm. He said that he had been in this plane for 10 years, but he knew her like the back of his hand. Towards Yu Ming's words, Yi Qing Luo only believed 30% of it. And the reason why he was making a deal with the Netherworld here, it was to use the power of the Netherworld to save Yin Xiao, Yi, and Xiao Jin from that plane. However, Yu Ming was clearly unable to do so. It was impossible to tell if this was true or not. She didn't know. 3 days. Netherworld raised 3 fingers and replied calmly, I can separate them from those monsters with the technology of the 21st century. Quarantine? 21st century technology? You can travel between planes? However, he can only be isolated for 3 days at most. Netherworld's voice was solemn. However, if the monster mutates, we might not be able to hold on for 2 days. If I can't be sure of my brother's safety, I can't be at ease and make plans for my own matters. Yiqing Luo rejected him without any hesitation. What I want is my brother's 100% safety. Your uncertainty factor is unable to convince me. Yiqing Luo had already dispelled the idea of making use of the netherworld. It was impossible for her to gamble with Xiao Jin and Xiao Yi's lives. Asterisk. Chapter 1837. You really don't want the vast water god relic? Yu Ming frowned, seemingly unable to understand Yiqing Luo's thoughts. Yiqing Luo had already urged the devouring array to lead the way. Hearing Yu Ming's words, she turned her head and fixed her gaze on Yu Ming. I want the vast aqua god relic, but I want my brother to live on peacefully. Her voice was calm, not mixed with any other emotions. Yu Ming was stunned. He pursed his lips and didn't speak again. Yiqing Luo turned around. Let's go. What she needed to do now was to head to the battle dimension and rescue Yin Xiao, Yi, and Xiao Jin. The so-called rules of the godless formation were merely rules set by the person who set up the formation. Since they were able to tame a formation, and travel to another plane, there would be a way to return to the 21st century from the battle plane. Saving his brother came first. The matter of gathering the deep water divine artifact could be thought of later. Yu Ming watched as the three of them left. The screen in his hand suddenly disappeared from his palm. He quickly caught up with her. Miss Yi, I only have one goal, and that is to bring me back to our time. I believe that you have the ability to do so, and you are the only ones who can help me. How about this? I'll do my best to ensure that you and your brother will be completely unharmed for the next 3 days. Is that okay? Yiqing Luo's footsteps halted as she casted a sidelong glance at him. Yu Ming, what do you have to make me believe you? You said that he would be unharmed for 3 days, but will he really be unharmed for 3 days? Yu Ming's remaining words were all stuck in his throat, unable to rebuke Yiqing Luo's words. That's right, this was the first time he and Yiqing Luo met. On what basis did he ask Yiqing Luo to believe him? Yu Ming clenched his fists tightly, and he hesitated for a short while before he gnashed his teeth and said in the end, I can give you this nether mirror. You can pay attention to the situation of those 2 brothers of yours at all times through the nether mirror. Nether mirror? She should be referring to the screen that just popped out of her palm. She did not expect that the netherworld would be willing to use the underworld mirror in exchange for her trust. He was really going all out. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed as she suddenly laughed. But how would I know that the thing projected from your underworld mirror is an illusion which you created to confuse me? She spread out her hands and shrugged helplessly. Forgive me for not being able to fully trust you. After all, it concerns my 2 brothers. I can't allow any accidents to happen. Yu Ming's face stiffened. His scarlet eyes flashed with a red light. He had not expected Yiqing Luo to be so stubborn. For his brother, was he really willing to give up the chance to obtain the vast water divine artifact? One had to know that obtaining the vast water divine artifact would greatly improve her strength. Moreover, she had personally witnessed the brutality and slaughter in that battle dimension. If he went, he would most likely die. Why did she still choose to go to the battle plane without any hesitation? Was the so-called brotherhood really more important than their own interests? The netherworld could not understand such affection. He only knew that ever since he was born. He was the venerable one's dog. He had companions who had grown up with him. However, because of his scarlet eyes, those people all thought of him as a monster. No one wanted to be close to him, except for, you knew. So he really didn't understand why Yiqing Luo would choose to sacrifice everything for the brotherhood. Thinking of Yu Ming's heart slowly sunk. He must hurry back to Nirvana Realm. He wanted to see Yu so badly. If he didn't return, his Yu would probably be snatched away by Yuhan. Chapter 1838. Miss Yi, I'll tell you how to use the underworld mirror. You control the underworld mirror yourself, so I have no way to fake it. Yu Ming rushed forward again and blocked the path of the three of them. He fixed his gaze on Yi Qing Luo's eyes. I really want to return to Nirvana Realm. There's someone waiting for me there. His gaze was very sincere. He was so sincere that it seemed as if there was indeed someone waiting for him. He had painstakingly wanted to go back to their era. It was all for that person. Lil Luo or DMO Xian spoke before Yi Qing Luo opened her mouth. Since Mr. Yu is so sincere, let's agree to it. Ah Xian. Yi Qing Luo frowned. Just as she was about to say something, she felt a pain on her waist. DMO Xian's hand pinched her waist. Her voice paused as she looked at DMO Xian in puzzlement. DMO Xian's thin lips curled up as he glanced at Yu Ming with a smile, which didn't look like a smile. The person waiting for Mr. Yu in Nirvana Realm should be a lady, right? Yu Ming lowered his head, as though he was a little shy. Yes. DMO Xian's brows rose as he glanced sideways at Yi Qing Luo, his slender fingers tapping on her forehead. Did you hear that? If you don't agree to Mr. Yu's request, isn't it breaking up a pair of lovers? Yes, whatever you say makes sense. Yi Qing Luo didn't know what DMO Xian was trying to do as she rolled her eyes. She didn't speak. She didn't express whether to agree or reject. When Yu Ming saw this, he flipped his palm and immediately presented the underworld mirror to Yi Qing Luo. This is the underworld mirror. As long as you cover the mirror with profound qi, you'll be able to see what you want to see within a certain range. Within a certain range? Yi Qing Luo caught onto this word. How far does this range refer to? You mean Xiao, Yi, and Xiao Jin are actually not far away from me? This range refers to the range of the same parallel space. Netherworld explained. Just like how we all came in through the soulless formation, we naturally belong to the same parallel space. We only need some simple information, and the Netherworld mirror will automatically search for it. The information that matches the user's plane of existence will appear on the mirror. So it's like this. Yi Qing Luo nodded her head thoughtfully. I have already cleansed my own profound energy. I only need to inject your profound energy into it. Yu Ming said. Yi Qing Luo looked at Yu Ming suspiciously. The hand on her waist squeezed her again. She glared at him sideways and reached out to take the dark mirror. Try it. DMO Xian's voice floated down from above. Yi Qing Luo imitated Yu Ming's earlier action as she placed her palm on the mirror. A stream of dark force immediately wrapped around the nether mirror. Immediately after, she felt an extremely strong resonance from the depths of her heart. A suction force pulled her hand firmly against the dark mirror. Before Yi Qing Luo could react, DMO Xian suddenly held her waist tightly and placed his hand on the back of her hand, which was pressed against the mirror. The majestic, profound energy was like a hot knife through butter. The man's dark force was injected into her body. Yi Qing Luo only felt a scorching sensation on her palm. She could vaguely see Netherworld, who was beside her, shouting at her with a face full of resentment and anger. Yi Qing Luo couldn't hear the surrounding sounds. All he could hear was the sound of the strong wind whistling in his ears. Suddenly, Yi Qing Luo felt a surge of energy gushing into her heart. The next moment, DMO Xian's palm moved away. The strong wind around him gradually calmed down. Chapter 1839. Misty. Yu Ming's face was steely green as he bellowed furiously. After the whirlpool around Yi Qing Luo had dissipated, he strode towards Yi Qing Luo as he gritted his teeth and stretched out his hand to grab Yi Qing Luo's collar. But before he could get close to Yi Qing Luo, a ray of profound qi came towards him. Yu Ming's reaction was swift as he rolled on the ground, avoiding that profound qi attack. He stared fiercely at DMO Xian. That fellow had a protective look on his face, as though saying, "You dare to bully my wife. I'll let you know why the flowers are red." Yu Ming knew how powerful DMO Xian was. He could only suppress the rage in his heart as he tried his best to make his voice sound more peaceful. "Don't you feel that you've gone too far?" But no matter how he suppressed it, Yu Ming's tone was filled with viciousness which couldn't be concealed. Yiqing Luo propped up her weak body as her brows creased as she took a look at her palm. She actually took the underworld mirror as her own. That's right, she took it as her own, just as she wanted to use her profound energy to activate the underworld mirror. DMO Xian had already led her to contract the underworld mirror, which meant that this heaven-defying underworld mirror belonged to her now. It was impossible for Yu Ming to take it back, even if he wanted to. Realizing this, Yiqing Luo was speechless. She had not expected that DMO Xian's original plan was actually this. Her Xian had learnt bad things, deceiving Yu Ming in a serious manner as he passed the underworld mirror into her hands, and then robbing it on the spot as a matter of course. Towards this, Yiqing Luo only wanted to say one sentence: beautifully done. Looking at Yu Ming's expression, which looked as though he had just eaten sh*t, Yiqing Luo couldn't help but laughed out loud. This laugh completely infuriated Yu Ming. Yiqing Luo, that's mine. Yu Ming clenched his fists tightly as he bellowed in rage. The god relic which he had been relying on had been with him for a full 2 years. He hadn't even been able to contract the underworld mirror. Suddenly, the person whom he had schemed against contracted the underworld mirror which he had been longing for, and even forcefully took it as her own right in front of him. Who could tolerate that? Who would be able to endure such humiliation? Looking at Yu Ming's fiendish look, Yiqing Luo decisively chose to hug DMO Xian's waist tightly as she blinked her innocent eyes. I also want to return it to you, but how should I return it? She tilted her head, vividly portraying the image of an ignorant young girl. Yu Ming held a breath in his throat, but he couldn't spit it out. That's right, we've already formed a contract. How can I return it? Even if they wanted to terminate the contract, they would have to wait for a year after the contract was established. Looking at Yiqing Luo's innocent smile, Yu Ming didn't feel that this young lady was innocent. The more he looked, the angrier he became. Prince Yu. Suddenly, DMO Xian's sonorous voice was clear and mellow. Since you want to return to Nirvana Realm and reunite with your beloved woman, I'm afraid that just the benefit of the vast water god relic is far from enough. His thin lips were slightly raised, and his shimmering peach blossom eyes were like stars in the sky. He looked at the netherworld and smiled. That smile was peerless and unparalleled. However, Yu Ming sensed a terrifying threat coming from him. This kind of threatening feeling, even from a revered, he didn't have such a strong feeling. DMO Xian. Just how powerful was he? Chapter 1840. Netherworld lowered his head in silence. DMO Xian continued to laugh. So, using the underworld mirror to exchange for your reunion with the woman you love, isn't it worth it? Lord of the Underworld opened his mouth, but found himself unable to refute. How could he have forgotten? When the two of them were put together, it was a combination that could kill people without paying with their lives. In order to lure Yiqing Luo to take the bait, he took the initiative to hand over the Ming Mirror. Today, Ming Mirror had already contracted with Yiqing Luo. He had connected to the underworld mirror, but there was no medium to contact the venerable one anymore. If he didn't follow the two of them back to the Nirvana realm, I'm afraid he really wouldn't have the chance to see Yu again. Thinking of this, Netherworld could only clench his teeth and swallow his resentment. It's worth it, as long as you can bring me back to the Nirvana realm. Even if I have to pay with my life, it's worth it. The pressure in DMO Xian's smile gradually dissipated. Yu Ming hadn't even caught his breath when he heard Yiqing Luo saying, Mr. Yu, there's no time to lose. Please immediately isolate my brothers from that group of monsters. Yu Ming almost spat out a mouthful of blood, forcefully forming a contract with his divine artifact. Now, she even wanted him to use his power to protect her brother. However, now that things had come to this, he could only obey. With a gloomy face, he gritted his teeth and said, First, bring out the situation of your brother's plane. How do I adjust it? Yiqing Luo flipped her palm, and the Ming Mirror appeared in her palm. Yu Ming suppressed his anger and explained the steps in detail. Yiqing Luo's comprehension ability was extremely high. In just a moment, the situation of the battle plane was changed to the mirror plane. Yu Ming looked at where Yin Xiao, Yi, and Xiao Jin were. He took out something that looked like a gun from his pocket. He aimed at the mirror and suddenly fired a shot. A silver light shot out from the muzzle. It shot straight into the dark mirror. Immediately following that, Yiqing Luo saw on the screen Yin Xiao, Yi, and Xiao Jin's surroundings were enveloped by silver light. The silver light quickly formed an elevator-like space at a speed visible to the naked eye. When the surrounding monsters saw this, they all rushed towards the direction of the silver light. But before he could get close, the monster bounced off. Over the past 10 years, I've invited over 100 scientists to research this defensive barrier. It can't be broken by swords or spears. Even a profound practitioner like me can't break it. Yu Ming put the spear away. His face was still ashen. Originally, this was my secret weapon to protect myself. Now, I've given it to your brothers. You promised me. I hope you won't go back on your word. Yiqing Luo looked at the both of them who were well protected by the protective cover, leaning against it to rest. Her heart, which was hanging in suspense, finally calmed down. Can this thing really last for 3 days? She asked again. Netherworld cast a sidelong glance at her. Before the launch, I had already activated the super protective mode. 3 days is definitely not a problem. The dark mirror is in your hands now. You can use it to check on the situation at any time. Yiqing Luo kept the mirror. Then many thanks to you. 3 days should be enough. The food in Yin Xiao, Yi, and Xiao Jin's space pockets should be enough for them to last for 3 days. She lifted her eyes and fixed them on Yu Ming. All right, young master you. You can tell me your real motive now. Yu Ming's brows twitched as he met Yiqing Luo's chilly gaze. He went into a blank as he suppressed the panic in his heart. My motive is to return to Nirvana realm. I don't have the patience to beat around the bush with you. Yiqing Luo interrupted his words. Since you've already resolved the matter that I'm worried about, as long as your request doesn't touch my bottom line, I can satisfy you. Her lips curled as she said word by word. What do you want from the Yi family's late emperor's tomb? Asterisk. Chapter 1841. Yu Ming licked his dry lips and wanted to quibble. Yu Ming, since you've done an investigation on me, you must be very clear about my character. Yiqing Luo interrupted him again with a smile. The smile in her eyes became colder. I'm not in the mood to play this kind of game with you. If you can't be frank with me, then. She paused. The coldness in her eyes intensified. I'll take back what I said earlier. Yu Ming was stunned. His scarlet eyes flashed with a burning red light. Take back what she said earlier, that she would satisfy his request? Indeed, he had done an investigation on Yiqing Luo and knew her character well. Once she said to take it back, there was really no room to change it. Yu Ming sighed, took out a red brocade box from his pocket, and handed it to Yiqing Luo. I do have another purpose. Yiqing Luo raised her brows and took the brocade box. This brocade box looked like a proposal ring. She opened it with her fingertips and saw a marble-sized crystal ball lying in the brocade box. The sparkling flowing light was extremely dazzling. I hope you will bring this crystal ball with you when you enter the late emperor's tomb. Yu Ming said indifferently. What is this thing? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes and looked at the crystal ball carefully. She had handled a lot of high technology when she went out on various missions. But really, she couldn't tell what material this crystal ball was made of. After a moment of silence, Yu Ming shook his head and said, I can only tell you that I do want something from the tomb of the late emperor, but I can't tell you what it is exactly. This crystal ball will help me find what I want. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. What if the target of this crystal ball is also the vast aqua divine relic? Or has other uses? The Lord beside, you should be able to tell. Yu Ming replied in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Yiqing Luo raised her eyes and looked at Di Emotian. She saw him nodding slightly. This crystal ball indeed didn't have any effect on Yiqing Luo to attack or harm her. I can guarantee that the thing I want is absolutely not the vast aqua divine relic. Even if I truly wanted the ocean water artifact with you present, the ocean water artifact would choose you on its own. The connection between the descendant of the Yi clan and the Azure divine weapon was not something an ordinary person could match. snatched the azure water artifact from Yiqing Luo. There was no chance of victory at all. All right, I promise you. Yiqing Luo didn't hesitate any further as she placed the crystal ball back into the brocade box and placed it into the profound phoenix ring. She still maintained a skeptical attitude towards Yuming. This man, from the moment he appeared, he wanted to make use of her. Of course, she was also plotting against the netherworld. Because of this, Yiqing Luo didn't feel any guilt for forcefully contracting the dark mirror, nor did she feel any awkwardness of becoming a robber. She would choose to accept the conditions of the netherworld. It was all because he had protected Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao Yi. Let's go. Hurry up and head to the late emperor's tomb first, Yiqing Luo urged. Even though they had confirmed Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao Yi's safety, she would still worry. He had to end the battle quickly and settle the matter at hand. Let's hurry to the combat plane. Only by personally protecting Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao could she truly feel at ease. Plane change. Location. Combat plane time. Yin Xiao Yi and Xiao Jin had just entered the god Lesseray 1 hour later. Chapter 1842. The black scythe blade in Yin Xiao Yi's hand was already stained with blood. Xiao Jin stood in front of Yin Xiao Yi to protect her, constantly releasing profound qi to push away the approaching monsters. Both of their faces were pale. Large beads of sweat flowed down their foreheads. The monsters here could not be killed at all. No matter how many monsters they killed, those monsters would reassemble and become another type of monster with higher attack power and stronger battle strength. Especially when a number of monsters killed in one go was too many. Those monsters would then stack together to form a new and powerful monster. In just a short hour, the strength of the two was almost exhausted. What the hell is this place? We clearly escaped into the secret passage. How did we suddenly appear in this place? Yin Xiao Yi said while panting. Xiao Jin did not answer. His vigilant eyes scanned the surroundings. All around him was a pitch-black void. Thousands of stars were faintly flickering, embellishing this pitch-black space with a little light. The surrounding monsters were torn apart and then reassembled again, except for the 10 monsters that had been besieging them. There were also countless monsters that covered the sky, constantly killing each other. The most shocking thing was when one of the monsters had finished killing the other monster, the monster's body started to tremble. Before the monster was about to reassemble, the victorious monster directly swallowed the broken limbs of the other monster into its own body, turning it into its own strength. This place, if I'm not wrong, this is a space plane very far away from the Nirvana realm, called the battle plane. Xiao Jin pondered for a moment, and finally gave an explanation. Battle plane. Yin Xiao used the black scythe blade to kill a monster that was charging over, and looked at Xiao Jin in shock. There's really such a place? The legend of the battle plane. She had only heard of it. No one had ever confirmed it. She did not expect that one day they would actually come to this legendary place called Hell. The battle plane was a hell, an extremely painful hell that could only be truly released by death. In the battle plane, there was only continuous fighting, endless fighting, fighting until death, being swallowed by other monsters, was the true release. Otherwise, they could only fight with their lives on the line, fight, killing blood. This was the true portrayal of the battle dimension. However, if one wanted to survive in the battle plane, they would have to be careful. They could only fight nonstop, devour the defeated monsters, absorb their power, and fight other monsters. Perhaps it had been devoured to a certain extent. Only then would he be able to truly escape from the battle dimension. However, neither Yin Xiao Yi nor Xiao Jin thought of devouring the defeated monster. This kind of devouring was too disgusting. Moreover, they were unwilling to accept that their bodies had been combined with those monsters. Just the thought of it made his scalp tingle. If they didn't devour them, they could only watch as the defeated monsters regrouped and attacked them again. This was truly hell. Yin Xiaoyi's face turned pale. Slut Jin, what should we do now? If this goes on, we'll sooner or later become a part of these monsters' bodies due to physical exhaustion. However, when she thought about it, it was very likely that she would be swallowed by those monsters. Yin Xiao Yi felt her stomach churn. Xiao Jin embraced Yin Xiao Yi's slightly trembling body. His eyes looked deeply into her eyes and said word by word, "No, I will definitely protect you." Asterisk. Chapter 1843. I will definitely protect you. I will definitely protect you. Protect you. This sentence kept reverberating in Yin Xiao Yi's mind. She blinked her beautiful eyes and looked into Xiao Jin's eyes. There was a part of her heart that suddenly softened a little. With this sentence of his, with his strong arms hugging her, she didn't feel that those monsters around her were anything to be afraid of. There seemed to be a warm current in her heart that was spreading through her limbs and bones. He said that he would definitely protect her. With such a loving gaze, it was as if she was his entire world. He couldn't bear for her to be hurt in the slightest. However, Yin Xiao only dared to secretly think that in her heart. She knew that this man's protection towards her wasn't the kind of feeling she had imagined. However, she still felt sweet and moved. Yin Xiao Yi's gaze was as gentle as water, as if she wanted to melt Xiao Jin. Xiao Jin's heart trembled slightly as he suppressed the urge to hug the woman fiercely and looked away. "Be careful." He threw out these two words as if to hide his inner thoughts. The gold coin dart in his hand once again flew towards the monster that was charging over. When he opened his eyes in a panic, he didn't notice Yin Xiao Yi's slightly pale face and the slight frown of pain between her brows. Yin Xiao tried hard to control her breathing and try to make it as smooth as possible so that Xiao Jin wouldn't notice anything amiss. The corners of her lips curled up slightly as her eyes were filled with affection. She buried herself in Xiao Jin's embrace and hugged his waist tightly with both hands. She breathed in Xiao Jin's scent. Her heart seemed to be filled with something. In her eyes, there were no monsters, no empty space, no plain of battle. In her eyes, there was only Xiao Jin. Perhaps it was because she felt that her life was gradually fading away. Or perhaps it was because there was no result in this plane. The expression on Yin Xiao Yi's face became increasingly gentle. She looked up, her beautiful eyes gentle as she gazed at Xiao Jin's side profile. Suddenly, she chuckled softly. Xiao Jin's body froze when he heard her laughter. He kicked a monster away and took a few steps back with Yin Xiao Yi in his arms. The monster crashed into the other monster. They immediately engaged in a fierce battle. Xiao Jin hugged Yin Xiao Yi tightly and took an illusory step. He passed by the monsters and quickly headed towards the direction where there were fewer monsters. The footwork which he had learnt from Yiqing Luo, Xiao Jin displayed it to the fullest. The monsters did not even have time to react. The two people in front of him had already disappeared when they want to chase. In the next instant, he was caught up by another monster. There was no place to hide in the void. No matter where he went, there were monsters. The two of them flashed in the void, carefully avoiding the monster's line of sight. Finally, he stopped at a relatively safe place. Although it was safe, it was also extremely dangerous. This was because they were close to where the two giant monsters were fighting. The two gigantic monsters had obviously devoured countless monsters to form such a huge body. As they fought, no monsters dared to approach them. The two of them avoided the monsters and hid not far from the battle. He could finally rest for a while. Xiao Jin panted lightly as he hugged the lady in his arms tightly and changed her into a comfortable position. "What were you laughing at earlier?" Yin Xiao didn't want Xiao Jin to see her pale face as she leaned her head on his shoulder and smiled sweetly. "I was laughing at your earlier action. It was very handsome." Chapter 1844. So, those people can only be outsiders. Yin Xiao smiled lightly. "In my eyes, you are very handsome." Perhaps because he was shy, Xiao Jin lowered his head and did not respond. His face was covered by Yin Xiao Yi's hair. It was faintly visible that his earlobe was dyed red. After a moment of silence, Yin Xiao Yi laughed softly. She rubbed her head against Xiao Jin's chest like a kitten. Her soft voice sounded ethereal. "Slut Jin, when we were in the secret room, you heard what Xishan Lan and I said, right?" The man's body stiffened. Yin Xiao clearly felt that the chest under her head had hardened a little. The smile on the face of the woman who buried her head in the man's chest dimmed a little. After a while, She laughed bitterly. She took a deep breath, as if to calm herself down. Her hands around his waist loosened slightly. Xiao Jin opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but he did not have the words and did not know how to explain. In the next moment, he heard the woman's helpless voice drifting into his ears. I told Shishanglan that I like you, and the person I love is you. The body of the man who was hugging her became more and more stiff. She raised her head and looked at the man's eyes with her clear and beautiful eyes. She raised her lips and smiled. Yes, Xiao Jin, I like you. I, Yin Xiao, like you. Xiao Jin's expression gradually froze on his face. Yin Xiao saw the shock and panic in his eyes. He really didn't like her. Even being liked by her, he felt annoyed. Yin Xiao laughed in a low voice. Slut Jin, do you feel bad about dying with someone you hate? Xiao Jin tightened his arms and his eyes flickered. I don't hate you. Yin Xiao smiled. Then do you like me? Xiao Jin's thin lips trembled as if he wanted to say something. In the end, he closed his mouth and did not give any answer. Yin Xiao Yi's bright smile gradually lost its light. She leaned her head on Xiao Jin's shoulder again. I know you don't want to hurt our brotherhood. Even if you don't say anything, I understand. It doesn't matter if you don't like me. It's enough that I like you. Anyway, at least at this time, the person by your side is me. Yin Xiao Yi's voice became increasingly ethereal. Xiao Jin's heart tightened when he heard this, as if there were thousands of silver needles fiercely stabbing into his heart. He wanted to hug Yin Xiao, eat tightly, and kiss her lips. He wanted to use his own warmth to warm her somewhat cold body. Her smile, so painful. He wanted to drive away all her unhappiness. But he couldn't. In the end, Xiao Jin only hugged Yin Xiao tightly and whispered in her ear, we won't die. We definitely won't die. But Slut Jin, I no longer have the strength to fight. Yin Xiao laughed lightly. Her breathing was light and shallow, as though she would stop breathing in the next moment. His body gradually turned cold. Her soft voice seemed to be interrupted at any time. Xiao Jin's pupils suddenly widened. He tightened his arms and lifted the face of the woman in his arms. You're injured, as though to prove his words. Blood suddenly flowed out from the corner of Yin Xiao Yi's mouth. That blood was not an ordinary red. It was a kind of jet black. Xiao Jin's arms tightened. When did she get injured? Why didn't he sense it at all? No wonder she who had always been proud would appear to be such a small woman. She was injured. In this battle plane, injured and powerless to fight. There was only one result. Chapter 1845. I'm fine. Yin Xiao smiled. Black blood stained her pale lips. Her pair of clear and beautiful eyes were gradually covered by a layer of hazy mist. She wanted to raise her hand and caress Xiao Jin's face. But all her strength had long been exhausted. She clenched her fingers and finally gave up the thought of touching him. Xiao Yi, don't speak. Don't speak first. I will bring you out of here. I will definitely bring you out of here. Xiao Jin looked at Yin Xiao Yi's pale face and lifeless eyes. The dull pain in the bottom of his heart twitched. Yin Xiao Yi smiled weakly. Slut Jin, before you talk big, look around you first. She sighed softly in her heart. Someone as stupid as Slut Jin. If she really died like this, with his intelligence, could he really leave this plane alive? He clearly knew that in the surroundings, other than fighting monsters, there were monsters that were assembling. He even made such a loud noise and caused such a huge commotion. One must know that the two of them were hiding not far from the two largest monsters. Xiao Jin's shout just now immediately attracted the attention of the surrounding monsters. Two enormous monsters surrounded the two of them. One of them raised its voice and let out a long howl. Countless monsters in the surroundings stopped fighting and rushed over. In a short while, the two of them were completely surrounded in the middle by the monsters. This is troublesome. Yin Xiao sighed softly. No matter where it is, it's the law of the jungle. Look, even if it's a fighting plane, there's a strong that rules this plane. Xiao Jin's face darkened as he stared at the surroundings, at the ferocious-looking wild beasts, a cold and vicious air flowing in his eyes. Faintly, in this pitch-black space, flashing an almost undetectable golden light. Slut Jean, after I die, swallow me up. After all, I'm a human. If you swallow me, you'll at most swallow my power. You won't become a monster like them. Yin Xiao Yi panted lightly as she nestled in his arms and said softly, "What nonsense are you saying?" Xiao Jin lowered his eyes and glared at her fiercely. "I said before, I will protect you. Neither of us will die. Don't say such disheartening words to me. But you can't hold on any longer, can you?" Yin Xiao, he looked at the sweat on his forehead. "If you bring me along, I'll only be a burden to you. If you're alone, you might be able to leave alive." She took a deep breath and looked at Xiao Jin's face with some seriousness. "Slut Jean, you don't like me anyway. Whether I live or die doesn't affect you much, does it? You put all your strength into your mouth. Can't you just shut up?" Xiao Jin was agitated by Yin Xiao Yi's ear-piercing words. "In your heart, I'm someone who would abandon my heart, my brothers, in order to live? Aren't you looking down on me too much? If we want to leave, let's leave together. If we want to live, let's live together." Yin Xiao Yi's hazy eyes flickered. She lowered her eyelids, her heart palpitating slightly. "Abandon the heart. Heart of what? Is it the one I love?" Not knowing why, in Yin Xiao Yi's mind, these four words actually surfaced. But if that was the case, why did he change his words in the end? Chapter 1846. Elemental Energy Pill, as the name suggested, was a pill used to recover elemental energy. After consuming it, it could instantly replenish one's physical strength and the supply of profound Jade Heart's profound energy. Xiao Jin held onto the gold coin dart in one hand, as he continuously stopped the monsters from getting closer. His other hand hugged onto Yin Xiao Yi's waist tightly. He couldn't free his hands. Yin Xiao Yi used all her strength to reach her hand into his embrace. Her slender fingers gently touched his muscular body. Through the thin inner clothing, Yin Xiao Yi could clearly feel the touch of hard muscles on her palm. Yin Xiao Yi's hand froze as her ears turned red. Xiao Jin's expression was rather strange. The lady's soft little hand was like a feather, gently teasing his heartstrings. The soft lady's body in his embrace. The lady's soft little hand on his chest kept on teasing. And it was his beloved woman. This kind of teasing, no matter which man, would not be able to take it. Xiao Jin's breathing hastened as he suppressed the urge to squeeze down 3 inches as he shouted, "Hurry up!" Yin Xiao Yi's hand froze. She pursed her lips tightly, and even though her face was dyed red, it was unable to conceal her pale complexion. He hated her that much? Even her touch, he hated it so much? Yin Xiaoyi's expression pierced Xiao Jin's eyes. His thin lips trembled, as though he wanted to say something, but when the words reached his mouth, his meaning changed. "What are you still standing there for? Do you really want to die here?" And this angry reprimand, in Yin Xiao Yi's ears, combined with his attitude, changed its meaning. He didn't like her and hated her. So, even in death, he wasn't willing to die together with her. He insisted on protecting her, saving her. But it was because they were brothers. This was because Devil Class and the World Group would not abandon any of them. Yin Xiaoyi's heart was in pain. The warm feeling that she thought was infallible earlier had completely disappeared. Finally, she touched the elemental energy pill. "Eat it." Xiao Jin didn't want to see her hurt expression, as he said that in a low voice, as he pulled her into his embrace, not willing to see her expression anymore. Yin Xiao Yi pursed her pale lips. She looked at the elemental energy pill in her hand. "There's only one. Eat it. I told you to eat, so eat. Why are you talking so much nonsense?" Xiao Jin frowned. Was she aware of the current situation? The surrounding monsters had already surrounded them, and they simply did not have the time to choose or argue over who to give the elemental energy pill to. Yin Xiao Yi's hand that was holding the elemental energy pill stiffened. "What I mean is, your battle strength is stronger than mine. I have enough stamina. I don't need this pill." Xiao Jin looked around warily at the restless monsters and tightened his grip on the girl in his arms. The sudden tightening of the waist caused Yin Xiao Yi's face to turn slightly pale. She raised her head and looked at the way Xiao Jin looked around. He placed the elemental energy pill into his mouth. Slut Jean. She suddenly spoke with the origin energy pill in her mouth. Xiao Jin's attention was focused on the surrounding monsters. When he heard Yin Xiaoyi's call, he turned to look at her. The next moment, his neck tightened. The woman hooked her arms around his neck. Then, the woman's lips, stained with blood, pressed against his lips. Yin Xiaoyi. Xiao Jin's lips were sealed by the woman, and he roared the woman's name indistinctly. His eyes widened. She was too reckless. Yin Xiaoyi closed her eyes and used the tip of her tongue to push the elemental energy pill into his mouth. She did not give Xiao Jin any chance to react. The elemental energy pill had already slid down Xiao Jin's throat. Chapter 1847. After the pill entered Xiao Jin's mouth, Yin Xiaoyi seemed to have exhausted all her energy and fell into Xiao Jin's arms. She panted lightly and smiled brightly. Slut Jean, you said you would protect me. So now, you have to protect me. Xiao Jin's pupils constricted and his hands couldn't stop hugging the woman in his arms. Slut Jean, put me down. Yin Xiaoyi struggled lightly. Don't move. Xiao Jin frowned. The surrounding monsters couldn't take it anymore. I'm fine, I can still fight. Yin Xiaoyi frowned. I just wanted to test whether you have me in your heart. I lied to you on purpose. You. Xiao Jin's eyes darkened when he heard that, but he quickly looked at her suspiciously. Obviously, he didn't believe her. If I didn't do this, how would I get the truth out of you? Yin Xiaoyi rolled her eyes at him. If I really didn't have any energy, do you think you wouldn't resist when I put the pill in your mouth? Her explanation was indeed reasonable. Xiao Jin's gaze sized up Yin Xiaoyi. He realized that Yin Xiaoyi's spirit was indeed much better than before when she looked like she was about to die at any moment. If you really want to die here with me, I don't mind you hugging me to die together. Yin Xiaoyi raised her brows and revealed a teasing smile. You. Xiao Jin glared at her. His heart was both happy and angry. Happy that Yin Xiaoyi was fine. Angry that she dared to use her body to joke with him under such circumstances. What if these monsters went berserk? Did she really not take her own life seriously? Xiao Jin let go of Yin Xiaoyi's body. Don't try to be brave. If you can't do it, just hide by my side and don't leave me. Women can't say no. Yin Xiaoyi's brows curved into a teasing smile and immediately summoned the black sickle blade. Stop talking nonsense. The monsters won't give us any more time to rest. Yin Xiaoyi's spirited look made Xiao Jin completely relax. He who had consumed the pill. At this moment, the profound energy in his body was in a state of swelling and tumbling. Pinching 3 gold coin darts with his fingertips, he had already charged towards the direction of the monsters. He didn't notice. The moment he flew away, a figure appeared in front of him. The woman wielding the black scythe swayed slightly. His face, which was pretending to be calm, instantly turned as pale as paper. He did not look half as spirited as he was just now. It was indeed Qing Luo's medicinal pill. It was just that when it entered her mouth, there was a trace of taste. Can let her maintain a short spirit. Fortunately, he deceived Xiao Jin. She took a light breath and gripped the black scythe tightly. Using the strength of the black scythe, she supported her shaky body. Her gaze fell on the man who was fighting with the monster. She absolutely could not become Xiao Jin's burden. No matter what, she wanted Xiao Jin to live on. Yin Xiaoyi raised the black scythe blade and used the last of her willpower to join the battle to kill the monsters. Countless monsters attacked without any pause. Countless streams of blood spurted out. The monsters were torn apart and emitted a nauseating stench of blood. However, in the next instant, the pieces of flesh that had been torn apart reassembled into a new monster. No matter how he tried, he couldn't kill it. Just at this moment, Yin Xiaoyi's shoulder was scratched by a monster's sharp claw. She groaned in pain and quickly retreated a few steps. The black scythe blade suddenly stabbed into an empty surface. Chapter 1848. Xiao Jin noticed Yin Xiaoyi's situation and immediately rushed in her direction. But very quickly, he was blocked by the 2 huge beasts in front of him. These two beasts, after a long time of fighting and devouring in the battle plane, already had their own consciousness. Beast's intuition was the most sensitive. They deeply felt the dangerous aura emanating from Qiao Jin. Naturally, they would not give him a chance to get close to the human woman. Kill one first, then the other. Qiao Jin was blocked and immediately became anxious. The attack in his hand also increased the killing intent in this instant. Yin Xiao Yi's delicate body swayed slightly, leaning against the black sickle blade, and stood up straight. The blood on her shoulder slid down along her arm. The blood fell on the black sickle blade. At this moment, Yin Xiao Yi was trying hard to maintain her consciousness and did not realize that when her blood seeped into the black sickle blade, the black sickle blade faintly flashed a hint of black light. In a flash, Yin Xiao Yi's blood was sucked into the black sickle blade. In another flash, it sucked in blood again. Gradually, as the blood was sucked in, the black sickle blade suddenly burst out with a strong black light. Like a gloomy death aura, it shrouded the black sickle blade. That light projected a strong aura of hostility and despair. It penetrated the entire space of nothingness. Those monsters who originally wanted to rush forward and devour Yin Xiao Yi when she could not fight. The moment they got close to Yin Xiao Yi, they were sent flying by the black aura around Yin Xiao. Wherever the black aura went, the weather changed in an instant. The monsters that were sent flying were instantly torn to pieces by the black aura. What was even more terrifying was the monsters that were torn to pieces by the black aura were actually wrapped by the black aura. In an instant, the shattered remains of the monsters had already disappeared in the space. The black aura was devouring the monsters. Yin Xiao Yi also felt the black sickle blade in her palm stirring. She took a deep breath and raised her eyes to look at the black sickle blade in her hand that was emitting an extremely strong death aura. She could clearly feel that the aura of the black sickle blade was getting stronger. Yin Xiao Yi's pupils shrank slightly. The black sickle blade actually evolved into a legendary weapon, just one step away from becoming a divine weapon. What was going on? Could it be the black sickle blade's consciousness of protecting its master? Moreover, the black sickle blade could devour those monsters. Does this mean that they don't have to deal with the monster's constant recombination? This knowledge caused joy to surface in Yin Xiao Yi's eyes. She gripped the black sickle blade tightly as she silently cheered herself on. You can definitely do it. You must let Qiao Jin live on at least. At least hang on till Qing Luo comes to save Qiao Jin. He swung the black scythe at the monster. With a flash of black light, the entire group of monsters was swallowed by the black light. This kind of battle immediately attracted even more monsters, who pounced at them. Qiao Jin looked at the beasts that kept charging at him, as well as the two huge beasts. He kept dodging. The coin dart in his hand was also constantly cutting down other monsters, but it was obvious that he was tired. Seeing this, the two huge beasts immediately ordered more monsters to chase after Qiao Jin. He wanted to take down Qiao Jin when he had lost his strength. Over 100 monsters surrounded Qiao Jin. Inside and outside, there were at least 3 layers of people. On Qiao Jin's ordinary face, there wasn't even a single bit of frightened expression. His eyes suddenly flashed past a biting cold glint. Following that, with a leap, he broke through hundreds of monsters, leaping up. Asterisk. Chapter 1849. His slender fingers were holding 10 gold coin darts. The flames all over Qiao Jin's body suddenly soared at this moment. That invisible, enormous power was breathtaking, unable to look directly at it. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A few sounds pierced through the air. Those 10 gold coin darts merged with Qi, and in a split second, rushed into the hundreds of monsters. Bang, bang, bang. Roar, roar, roar. Awoo, awoo. Deafening screams suddenly resounded throughout the entire space. Those hundreds of monsters, in an instant, were torn into pieces by the 10 gold coin darts. Not a single one was left alive. At the same time, a black scythe blade, emitting the aura of death, pierced through the air. The black scythe blade floated among the thousands of monster limbs. The majestic aura of death immediately enveloped all the wreckage around it. Xiao Jin scurried out of the black scythe blade's aura of death, a relaxed smile on his face. He raised his eyebrows in Yin Xiao Yi's direction. This tacit understanding is amazing. The two huge monsters roared angrily a few times. They finally understood that Xiao Jin had deliberately pretended to be physically weak just now, and then lured them all to surround him, and then killed them in one go, and then used Yin Xiao Yi's black scythe blade to completely devour those hundreds of monsters. Not only did it save their energy, it also made the black scythe blade's power continuously increase. Shameless humans. They must devour these two humans. The huge eyes of the huge monsters shot out a beam of furious light. Yin Xiao looked at Xiao Jin's smiling face, and she wanted to return her smile. But when she threw the black scythe blade over, she had already exhausted all her strength. And without the support of the black scythe blade, Yin Xiao Yi's entire body was powerless, and she half knelt on the ground. Xiao Yi. Xiao Jin's pupils suddenly constricted, and the expression on his face was full of panic. The two huge monsters also saw Yin Xiao Yi's current situation and immediately summoned ordinary monsters to attack Yin Xiao Yi. More than 10 monsters surrounded Yin Xiao Yi. After the black scythe blade devoured those wreckage, it immediately rushed back to its owner's side. But even though the black scythe blade's power had increased, Yin Xiao Yi still had no strength to fight. And at this moment, there were still 2 monsters attacking Yin Xiao Yi from behind. Sharp claws, sharp fangs, flickering with a cold light, seeing that it was about to pierce into Yin Xiao Yi's back. Xiao Yi! Xiao Jin gave a heart-wrenching roar as he rushed towards Yin Xiao Yi's direction. Hearing this voice, Yin Xiao Yi knew that she was definitely in danger. Yin Xiao Yi took a deep breath and gripped the black scythe tightly. His body followed closely behind, and he dodged to the side. The sharp claw scratched Yin Xiao Yi's arm. Blood flowed out and dyed Xiao Jin's eyes red. Xiao Jin roared and stretched out his hand to stop Yin Xiao Yi's falling body. Xiao Yi, are you all right? Xiao Jin carefully stared at Yin Xiao Yi, his eyes filled with worry. Yin Xiao Yi shook her head and relied on the strength of the black scythe to maintain her standing posture. I'm fine. How do you look like you're fine? Xiao Jin stretched out his hand and caressed Yin Xiao Yi's face. Yin Xiao Yi shrunk back a little. I'm really fine. Don't forget, before we came in, we even took the 100 antidote pill that Xiao Yi refined. Apart from detoxifying effects, the 100 antidote pill also has the effect of nourishing the body. She smiled faintly and spoke very seriously. Xiao Jin frowned. Why had he never heard that the 100 antidote pill had the effect of nourishing the body? But they already didn't have time to think. Chapter 1850. If you can't hold on, hold me tight. You can climb on my back at any time. Xiao Jin said in a low voice and began to rush into the monster hunt. Yin Xiao Yi's face was pale. She looked at the black scythe in her hand and slowly closed her eyes. The 100 solution pill indeed did not have that effect. What she said was a lie to Xiao Jin. At this time, if she did not let Xiao Jin relax, Xiao Jin would be distracted by her, and both of them would die in the monster horde. Her only way now was to combine her and the black scythe into one. To let the black scythe use this body of hers to fight. A gust of deathly air shot out from the black scythe. That deathly air, in a split second, followed Yin Xiao Yi's hand and spread throughout her entire body. When Xiao Jin noticed the change in the woman's aura behind him and turned around, Yin Xiao Yi had already combined with the black scythe. Her beautiful eyes, in the pitch-black void, were extremely dazzling. As her eyes moved, the deathly air flowed. That originally extremely beautiful face was now even more exquisite. Her temperament also underwent an earth-shattering change at this moment. If the previous Yin Xiao Yi was like a mischievous and adorable girl, then the current Yin Xiao Yi was like the night god who blended into the night, and also like a Rakshasa from hell. Her entire body was filled with a frighteningly cold aura. Xiao Yi, Xiao Jin's expression changed slightly, not understanding Yin Xiao Yi's sudden change. "Shut up." The clear voice was sinister and cold. "Take care of yourself. Don't drag me down." This was indeed Yin Xiao Yi's voice, and he had seen this voice coming from Yin Xiao Yi's mouth with his own eyes. But this tone, these words, it did not sound like something Yin Xiao Yi would say. He was full of questions, but Yin Xiao Yi did not give him time to answer them. Yin Xiao Yi had already grasped the black scythe tightly and started a frenzied massacre. Xiao Jin was speechless and could only cooperate. The two fought side by side and gave their backs to each other. Even Xiao Jin was extremely curious about Yin Xiao Yi's current change. But such a change did not affect the tacit understanding between the two. The cooperation of the two, the brutal massacre. There was no end to it. This battle was incomparably fierce, and the time limit was extremely long. In the chaotic battle, no matter how strong the two of them were, it was inevitable that they would be injured. The movements of the two of them gradually slowed down. Yin Xiao Yi put her body and mind under the control of the black sickle blade. However, this method could not last for too long. After a long time, the two of them were covered in scattered scars. The sight of human blood made the monsters howl even louder. More and more monsters appeared around them. Yin Xiao Yi and Xiao Jin kept thinking of ways to break through the monsters and attack the two huge monsters. As long as he killed those two monsters, he would be able to kill them. These monsters would definitely worship them as kings. However, they couldn't get close at all. The two huge monsters were protected by the tens of thousands of monsters. Death was like a rock, pressing down on their hearts. The black sickle blade knew its master's thoughts. If he didn't protect Xiao Jin until he ran out of energy, then Xiao Jin would be safe. She must not fall. Xiao Jin had the same thoughts. He must ensure Yin Xiao Yi's safety. Both of them were forcing themselves to hold on. In the battle, the black sickle blade constantly devoured the monsters to replenish its strength. Suddenly, the huge monster that had been wandering around the periphery, unknowingly, it had already rushed into the group of monsters, quietly attacking Yin Xiao Yi's back. Chapter 1851. Both of them were already exhausted. Yin Xiao Yi had no way of reacting to the sneak attack of the humongous monster. The huge monster's sharp claws slashed towards Yin Xiao Yi's back. Yin Xiao Yi is about to be torn into pieces. Xiao Jin suddenly grabbed Yin Xiao Yi's wrist and pulled Yin Xiao Yi into his embrace with force. At this moment, the deathly aura in Yin Xiao Yi's eyes suddenly dissipated. What replaced it was a pair of clear and beautiful eyes. The aura of the black sickle blade dissipated. Now, Yin Xiao Yi was just Yin Xiao Yi. Yin Xiao Yi's delicate body softened as she fell into his arms. Before he could react to what had happened, she only felt a gush of hot blood splatter on her face. Yin Xiao Yi's heart trembled as her eyes widened. The gigantic monster's attack pierced through Xiao Jin's shoulder. That warm blood was Xiao Jin's blood. Yin Xiao Yi's heart felt as if it was being torn apart by an ice-cold hand. No, Xiao Jin, no. Why did he save her? Why did he have to use his body to save her again and again? She didn't need it at all. She was clearly about to die. She wouldn't be able to survive until she left the battle plane. He thought back to the attack from the Nightwalker in the secret room. He stood in front of her without hesitation. Now, he once again stood in front of her. Yin Xiao Yi's eyes were covered with a layer of mist. Bean-sized teardrops rolled down uncontrollably. His tears mixed with the blood on his face, making him look extremely pathetic. Are you stupid? Don't you dislike me? Why do you always treat me like this? Why did you save me? After crying bitterly, her voice turned into a low whimper. This time, it was because of their brotherhood. What about the second time? Was this still brotherly love? She didn't believe it. Xiao Jin clearly liked her. However, Xiao Jin did not answer her. Instead, he raised his hand and gently stroked the blood on her face. He smiled warmly and asked, "Are you all right?" His gaze and tone were filled with urgency and eagerness. Yin Xiao Yi's tears fell even more violently. Even at this time, he was still thinking about whether she was all right. He was clearly the one who was in trouble. Yin Xiaoyi's eyes were misty with tears as she held Xiao Jin's hand tightly. Her voice was firm and slow. Slut Jin, you've repeatedly risked your life to save me. Are you telling me that in your heart, you actually don't dislike me? She curled her lips slightly. She suddenly raised her hand and placed it on his face. Her slender fingers caressed his face. It was clearly ordinary and had nothing special about it. Why did she fall in love with him? Yin Xiaoyi wanted to smile, but she no longer had the strength to maintain the smile on her face. Xiao Jin opened his mouth and was about to speak, but Yin Xiaoyi's finger stopped it. But in the next instant, a pill was pushed down his throat by Yin Xiaoyi's finger. Xiao Jin had yet to regain his senses. Yin Xiaoyi was already smiling lightly as she shook her head. Slut Jin, don't deny it. At least at the very last moment, let me believe that you really like me. Xiao Jin's thin lips moved slightly, wanting to explain something. Suddenly, a scorching, burning feeling spread out from the profound jade heart that was wrapped around his heart. He thought of the pill that Yin Xiaoyi had stuffed into his mouth just now. Xiaoyi, what are you doing? Yin Xiaoyi didn't know where the strength came from, but she suddenly raised her hand and forcefully pushed Xiao Jin away. Xiaoyi, don't mess around. Xiao Jin steadied his feet and was just about to step forward and pull Yin Xiaoyi back. But he saw Yin Xiaoyi take a few steps back. She smiled lightly and shook her head. Asterisk. Chapter 1852. Her smile was extremely beautiful, but it revealed an unconcealable determination. That smile nearly bewitched Xiao Jin's eyes. Xiao Jin's heart viciously felt a throbbing pain spreading throughout his body. His body stood stiffly on the spot, unable to move. He had interacted with Yin Xiaoyi for so many years. How could Xiao Jin not see what Yin Xiaoyi wanted to do now? His heart was in pain, his thin lips trembling. He wanted to pull Yin Xiaoyi back. However, the burning sensation in his body made it impossible for him to control his body. It was the pill that Yin Xiaoyi had just fed him. That pill that was of a higher grade than the essence energy pill. Just as he swallowed it down his throat, he could clearly feel the profound energy in his body surging violently like waves, crashing into every vein and tendon in his body. Xiao Jin looked at Yin Xiaoyi in a daze. His eyes were filled with pain. Since she had such a strong pill on her, why didn't she swallow it after being injured? Why did she give him all the elixir pills? If she died, because of him, she died in front of him. Did she think that he would live alone? Yin Xiaoyi looked deeply at Xiao Jin's face, like she wanted to remember his face in her mind with one last look. His lips trembled as he silently spat out the two words Xiaoyi, although it was silent. But Yin Xiaoyi heard extremely clearly. It seemed to have given her a lot of courage. Yin Xiaoyi slightly closed her beautiful eyes, a thin mist spreading at the bottom of her eyes. However, her smile was extremely beautiful and moving. Xiao Jin, if you can get out of here alive, please remember, there's a girl called Yin Xiaoyi who has always loved you. A drop of blood dripped from the corner of her eye, like a blooming datura flower, unparalleled in beauty. After that, she turned around and leaped up. After thousands of monsters, those two huge monsters didn't even have time to react. They saw the figure of a human girl appear in front of them. They bared their fangs and were about to tear the girl in front of them into pieces, only to see an intense light shoot out from the girl's body. No, Xiaoyi. Looking at that light shoot out and light up the entire empty space, a low roar exploded from Xiao Jin's throat. Yin Xiaoyi actually wanted to self-destruct. He wanted to use self-destruction to kill the two huge monsters. She wanted to create a way for him to live. Xiao Jin's pupils dilated bit by bit. In an instant, everything in front of him gradually disappeared. His eyes could only see the beautiful smile on Yin Xiaoyi's face, as well as the glow from her self-destruction. No, Yin Xiaoyi cannot die. He could not imagine a life without Yin Xiaoyi. He said he would protect her. He had said that both of them would definitely survive. He could not go back on his word. He could not go back on his word to Yin Xiaoyi. He wanted to live. He wanted Yin Xiaoyi to live. His strong willpower caused the medicinal effect of the pill in Xiao Jin's body to surge even more crazily. Suddenly, Xiao Jin felt all the blood in his body flow in reverse. All the pores on his body felt like they were about to explode. A powerful and majestic force instantly eroded everything about him. Xiao Jin's aura instantly swelled and became majestic. His robe fluttered in the wind, making a loud sound. His ink-black hair fluttered wildly like seaweed. That ordinary-looking face appeared exceptionally bewitching and strange. It gave off a suffocating sense of charm. The change in Xiao Jin's temperament caused Yin Xiao Yi to be slightly startled. However, what shocked her even more was asterisk. Chapter 1853. Xiao Jin's inky black eyes were actually covered by a circle of golden light. His eyes flickered with an extremely dazzling luster. Golden eyes. A pair of golden eyes. Not waiting for Yin Xiao Yi to be astonished. That man emitting enormous golden light all over was already flying straight over. His robes flapping in the wind showed how fast the man was. The surrounding monsters didn't even have a chance to approach Xiao Jin. Just as they neared, they were sent flying by the golden light around Xiao Jin. The monsters that were slightly closer were directly torn to pieces by the golden light. Then, the black scythe edge swiftly followed, completely devouring the shattered remains of the monsters. A hand tightly wrapped around Yin Xiao Yi's slender waist. Slut Jin, you can't. In the instant that Xiao Jin's hand wrapped around Yin Xiao Yi's waist, Yin Xiao Yi's pupils suddenly widened. Her hands struggled with all her might, wanting to push Xiao Jin away. She was mobilizing the power of her profound heart jade, wanting to detonate it and self-destruct. If Xiao Jin came over, he would be detonated by her as well. But in the next instant, Yin Xiao Yi saw the golden light on Xiao Jin's body collide with the profound heart jade detonating light released from her body. With a bang, a wave of air rolled. The detonating light released from Yin Xiao Yi's body was abruptly torn apart and suddenly dissipated. Ugh! Yin Xiao Yi's chest tightened, and a mouthful of blood sprayed onto Xiao Jin's body. The profound heart jade in her chest stopped its restless detonation. Yin Xiao Yi's entire body instantly softened, and she collapsed into Xiao Jin's embrace. Xiao Jin tightened his arms. Roar! The two enormous monsters felt that these two humans didn't put them in their eyes at all. Wasn't this looking down on the two monster leaders? The two enormous monsters instantly withdrew their many years of fighting and gathered together to attack in the direction of the two humans. Careful! Yin Xiao Yi nestled in Xiao Jin's embrace, clearly seeing the two enormous monsters heading straight for Xiao Jin's back. She quickly spread her 5 fingers and rushed forward. Black scythe edge. The black scythe edge floated in midair, and with a flip, it flew towards Yin Xiao Yi's palm. Xiao Jin's arms tightly wrapped around the woman in his embrace. His deep voice was extremely calm. Don't move. Leave everything to me. This was an expression and tone that Xiao Jin had never used before. Yin Xiao Yi was stunned. She raised her head with difficulty and looked at Xiao Jin's face. The pair of golden eyes reflected her face. A luster that was as bright as the rising sun caused Yin Xiao Yi's cheeks to heat up. Clearly, it was still that ordinary face. But why did it exude a suffocating charm? Was this the change in temperament that had occurred? Yin Xiao Yi felt that her cheeks were getting hotter, and she immediately buried her face in his arms. He said, "Leave it to him." She believed him. Xiao Jin must have improved. Just now, he had used his own strength to interrupt her from detonating her profound heart jade. It could be seen that Xiao Jin's current strength was absolutely not low. And it's like you dare to compete with the sun and moon? Xiao Jin's deep voice was like it shook the heavens and the earth, resounding throughout the entire void. After that, the golden light in his eyes flickered even brighter. A ray of golden light broke through the darkness of nothingness. It illuminated the battle plane extremely brightly. Rumble! The battle plane began to shake unceasingly. The surrounding void actually began to split open one after another. The two enormous monsters were also sent flying by the golden light. They still hadn't even had time to steady their feet. Xiao Jin's figure blurred, and he chased after the two enormous monsters in hot pursuit. Immediately, a foot suffused with golden light had already stepped on the monsters' heads. Asterisk. Chapter 1854. Roar, roar. The monster that was stepped on let out a sharp scream. In the next instant, the monster's head was directly penetrated by the golden light. Blood immediately splashed out. The huge monster's body trembled a few times on the void plane, then it could no longer move. Seeing this, the other huge monster turned around and wanted to escape, but before it could move, its huge body was sucked in by a suction force. Roar! The mournful scream was extremely sharp. The monsters in the surroundings were all shocked to the core. The huge monster was instantly cut into pieces by the golden light that burst out from Xiao Jin's body. All around, there was silence. The monsters quietly stared at the two huge monsters whose flesh and blood were flying everywhere, waiting for the two monsters to recombine. These two monsters had already existed since they had consciousness. In this battle plane, the two monsters have been fighting for at least 500 years. This time, they met a strong enemy of the human race. The kings of these two battle planes would definitely recombine into one monster to fight against the enemy together. However, time passed minute by minute. The two monsters that were torn into pieces were like dead meat, and there was no way to recombine. The monsters were horrified, and they all took a few steps back. Xiao Jin held Yin Xiao Yi and slowly turned around. The corners of his mouth raised slightly, and his golden eyes were shining. Who else wants to go? Silence. A strange silence. The monster's perception was extremely sharp. They deeply felt a dangerous aura from Xiao Jin's body. They knew that if they got close to Xiao Jin, the layer of golden light around Xiao Jin's body would shake them away. If they angered this golden-eyed human man, and it was very likely that they would become dead meat. Who dared to go up? Xiao Jin's golden eyes swept the surrounding monsters, and he hugged the woman in his arms tightly. Step by step, he walked in the direction where thousands of monsters surrounded him. Xiao Jin just walked in that direction. The surrounding monsters automatically separated and opened up a path. Xiao Jin was like the king of this void space, holding his beloved queen, surrounded by thousands of beasts, and slowly walked forward. This scene made Yin Xiao Yi extremely shocked. One must know that just a moment ago, they were still surrounded by these monsters, and she almost self-destructed to save Xiao Jin's life. And the next moment, all the monsters treated Xiao Jin like a king. The thousands of monsters around them were still looking at each other. Slut Jin, who exactly are you? Yin Xiao Yi pursed her lips and fixed her beautiful eyes on Xiao Jin's face. His golden eyes were exceptionally dazzling. She loved those eyes of his. It was as if he could steal her soul, hook her heart, and capture her soul. Xiao Jin's ordinary face stiffened slightly. Then, he lowered his head and looked at her with his golden eyes. Don't you think I'm scary like this? Scary? Yin Xiao Yi lifted her hand and touched the corner of his eye. Why do you say that about yourself? If you think the golden pupils are scary, aren't you implying that the class leader's blue pupils are also scary? Her fingertips were extremely gentle. However, her tone was already tainted with a bit of mischief. After we leave this damn place, I'll definitely tell the class monitor about how scary your eyes are. The smile on the woman's face caused Xiao Jin's lips to curl up unconsciously. It was great that she was fine. As long as she was fine, she was still alive. He did not hesitate to expose his identity and use his own power. That was the right choice. As long as Xiao Yi was still alive and well, even if he was captured and turned into a puppet. Chapter 1855. Suddenly, Xiao Jin felt the weight in his arms lighten. A pair of soft little hands circled around his neck. He came back to his senses and saw Yin Xiao Yi's exquisite face right in front of him. Her slightly pale lips lightly imprinted on his eyes. Bitch Jin, I like your eyes very much, very much, very much. The woman's soft voice was pleasant to listen to, like a zither string lightly plucking a certain softness in Xiao Jin's heart. His heart trembled slightly, and his hands instinctively tightened around her slender waist. The man's response caused Yin Xiao Yi's heart to suddenly jump with joy. But before her joy could reach her head, the hands on her waist suddenly loosened. Xiao Jin frantically pushed her away, pulling apart the distance between the two of them. Can you walk now? His voice was mixed with a bit of dryness. Yin Xiaoyi's brows tightened. What did his words mean? Wasn't everything fine just now? Why? Why did his attitude towards her become cold and hard again? My power can't maintain this change for a long time. Xiao Jin saw the pain in her eyes and thought of her resolute confessions again and again. His heart throbbed with increasing pain. He didn't want to explain and wanted Yin Xiaoyi to misunderstand him like this. But he still couldn't help it. We have to find a way to leave this plane as soon as possible. Otherwise, the two of us will be in danger again. The woman he loved also loved him. It was an unforgettable love. But he couldn't express his joy nor the slightest bit of his feelings. The moment the golden eyes appeared, everyone was stunned. Between him and Yin Xiaoyi, there was already truly no longer any possibility. He couldn't give Yin Xiaoyi any more hope. Hearing this, Yin Xiaoyi restrained the pain in her eyes and hurriedly withdrew from his embrace. I'm fine. How much longer can your power hold out for? Yin Xiaoyi was extremely astonished by this mysterious golden power of Xiao Jin's. Just now, when Xiao Jin had stopped her from detonating the profound jade heart, he took the opportunity to send his own golden light into her body. At that time, the external and internal injuries on Yin Xiaoyi's body had more or less healed under the golden light's treatment. Right now, she could stabilize her figure. Soon, Xiao Jin looked at the golden light in his palm and took a deep breath. But very soon, someone will come. He paused and smiled bitterly. They saved us. Qing Luo, Lord Dizun will come. Yin Xiaoyi's delicate brows furrowed slightly as she didn't understand the reason for Xiao Jin's bitter laugh. Wasn't it something to be happy about when someone rescued them from this plane? Xiao Jin shook his head with a smile and did not reply. Indeed, in less than an hour, the golden light on Xiao Jin's body had already gradually dispersed. The domineering aura around him also gradually subsided. The surrounding monsters that were initially obedient also keenly noticed the change in Xiao Jin and turned their gazes towards him. Slut Jin, do you think they will? Yin Xiaoyi looked at the thousands of eyes of the monsters and felt a little scared. I will, Xiao Jin replied calmly. These monsters were not like the two huge monsters from before, which had their own consciousness. They relied solely on their senses and intuition to determine danger. When the feeling of fear on Xiao Jin's body disappeared, they would treat Xiao Jin and Yin Xiaoyi as enemies once again, just as Xiao Jin finished speaking. Chapter 1856. Were they going to continue fighting? Yin Xiaoyi gripped the black sickle blade tightly as she looked at those monsters vigilantly. When will Qing Luo and the Overlord rush over? Xiao Jin looked at his palm. The eyes that had returned to black were full of deep meaning that Yin Xiaoyi couldn't understand. It should be almost. Are you hiding something from me? Yin Xiaoyi kept feeling that ever since Xiao Jin's golden light had dispersed, his mood was extremely downcast. This depression was not caused by the loss of great power. It was as if he was about to lose something precious. His entire person was shrouded in a gloomy feeling. Your golden eye, your power, Yin Xiaoyi pursed her red lips tightly. Could it be? The person who came to save us isn't Qing Luo, not the Overlord. Don't even think about it. Xiao Jin had already pulled her behind him and raised his hand to attack the monster in front of him. At this moment, it was indeed not the time for them to start the you ask and I answer mode. These monsters would not give them the chance or the time to do so. Yin Xiaoyi, who was gradually recovering her strength, raised the black scythe blade and stood back to back with Xiao Jin as they began to kill the monsters in front of them. At this moment, a silver light suddenly descended from the sky. Then, the silver light wrapped around the two of them. At an extremely fast speed, a rectangular space was formed. It was about big enough for one person to stand on. Bang, 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 the monsters rammed into them. However, before it could get close, it was sent flying by the silver light. Yin Xiao Yi was slightly taken aback as she raised her hand to touch the hard protective cover. What? What is this? What happened? It felt extremely smooth, like the skin of a woman. Yin Xiao Yi was stunned. How could such a smooth thing block the attacks of those monsters? She turned her head and looked at Xiao Jin. Slut Jin, this is the thing that you said will come and save us? Xiao Jin looked at the shining silver object and shook his head decisively. No, could it be Qing Luo? Yin Xiao, he couldn't bear to let go. Xiao Jin glanced at his surroundings. The monsters who wanted to charge forward were sent flying again. He sensed his surroundings. He discovered that this barrier was completely isolated from the outside world. Here, he could not sense the aura of those monsters, and the monsters couldn't get close. This realization made Xiao Jin heave a heavy sigh of relief. He slowly leaned against the protective barrier and sat down. He didn't dare to be too relaxed, but at least they were safe for now. All the exhaustion in his body was completely released in this instant. From a moment they entered this battle plane, they had been extremely tense. Constant battles, emotional tension, and emotional collapse. Both of them were physically and mentally exhausted. Seeing Xiao Jin sit down by the side, Yin Xiao Yi also leaned close to him and slowly sat down. Xiao Jin's closed eyes trembled slightly, but he did not speak. Yin Xiao Yi smiled and leaned her head on his shoulder. She hugged one of his arms. It was a rare moment of peace, and neither of them spoke a single word. The ancestral tomb. Yiqing Luo alighted from Yuming's car. She narrowed her eyes and looked at the tomb that was about halfway up the mountain. So this is how the ancestors' tomb looks like from below. Last time, he heard that the group of old men from the Yi clan came to their ancestors' tomb. Yiqing Luo totally didn't put it to heart. From the start to the end, she had been sleeping in the plane, until she was thrown off the plane by those old men from the Yi family and forcefully stuffed into the ancestors' tomb. As for the location of the ancestors' tomb, as a descendant of the Yi family, she totally didn't know. Asterisk. Chapter 1857. I also spent a long time to find the real location of the late emperor's tomb. Yuming pushed the door open and stood beside Yiqing Luo, raising his head to look at the tomb hanging in the middle of the mountain. Most people are unable to get close to this place, so no archaeologists have discovered the remains here. How did you discover it? Yiqing Luo raised her brows. She was very curious about what Yu Ming wanted from the ancestral tomb. He actually made it so mysterious, not let her know about it. Apparently, it was an extremely important thing. Yu Ming didn't want to say, so she couldn't force him to ask. After all, she had forcefully contracted the Ming mirror which he had been carrying for so many years. Yu Ming's scarlet eyes flickered slightly. Because I'm not an ordinary person. And man, this was a reasonable answer. Yiqing Luo shrugged her shoulders. Knowing that he didn't want to talk more, she couldn't be bothered to. With a leap, her sleeves fluttered in the wind. She had already landed steadily in the middle of the mountain, at the entrance of the ancestral tomb. DMO Xian followed closely. Yuming naturally wouldn't fall behind. Standing at the entrance of the tomb, the three of them in a misty array eye. Why was the array I brought to the ancestral tomb? Yiqing Luo's original words were like this. This plain is your turf. Who knows which corner you are hiding in? If you don't let us find you, how are we going to find you? If we can't find you, how are we going to the battle plane? So, you'd better follow us obediently. Will my darling keep an eye on you. After I come out from the West Tomb, send us directly to the battle plane. Everything depends on you. Yu Ming stared at the tomb entrance. The expression on his face was a rare solemn. Yiqing Luo waved her hand, looking at DMO Xian. Ah Xian, I'll go in first. They didn't have much time. Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao Yi's battle plane could at most last for another 3 days. She had to hurry and rush to the battle plane. DMO Xian's brows creased slightly. His peach blossom eyes were filled with worry. The ancestral tomb gave him an extremely uncomfortable feeling. You're at ease. Yiqing Luo walked over, putting her arm around his firm waist. This isn't my first time here, although it's been a long time, but the route is all in my mind. The old men of the Yi clan naturally had a map of the Yi clan's ancestral tomb. Back then, when he had let her come in to retrieve the Yi family's heirloom, the azure dew bracelet, the old man had shown her a map. She was no stranger to the tomb of her ancestors. Dmo Xian ruffled her hair, although he was extremely unwilling to let her enter, but he understood that Yi Qing Luo had to enter, regardless of whether it was because of what he promised the Netherworld, or perhaps a vast water divine artifact. She had to go on this trip to the tomb of her ancestors. Be careful. I'll be right here waiting for you. Dmo Xian lowered his head and gently kissed her forehead. Only those of the Yi clan's bloodline could enter the ancestral tomb. Even Dmo Xian was unable to follow Yi Qing Luo into the ancestral tomb. Yi Qing Luo assured him in every possible way and left Dmo Xian's embrace reluctantly. She turned around and walked towards the tomb of her ancestors. But before he could lift his leg, his wrist suddenly tightened. That's right, Lil Luo, take this with you. Dmo Xian's clear voice was extremely melodious. Yi Qing Luo's finger seemed to be circled by something. She looked down and saw that it was the azure water ring she had obtained from the tomb of the Ling King.